Does that sound fine?
What's the boogeyman?
Welcome back to the Moon Juice Mountain Horror Podcast, the podcast where we live and breathe heavy mountain horror, but not afraid to shit on both of them. I'm Mike.
I'm Matt.
Now, we skipped an episode this week.
Yeah, we did. So this is kind of one of those things. I'm not going to complain too much about our platform that we use, but our platform has been messing up a little bit. It's been giving us fits. So we decided to take a week. Plus Mike has had a sickness in his family, so we figured it'd be best to go ahead and move forward another week. So that's what we did. But I don't think anybody's going to be too pissed off at us, dude, because we got a banger this time. This is definitely a good one, and one that I debated us doing for a long time.
Why do you be debated? You didn't debate anything. I mean, I put it on our list, and you were like, yeah, okay, but it's going to suck. It's a cash
That's exactly
grab.
what I'm saying. Like, it was...
They're going to destroy the lore and the canon, blah, 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 blah. That's... You were debating if we were going to do it. You were debating if it was going to be good or not.
No, when I first heard that this was coming out before you had put it on the list, I was like, fuck, I cannot believe they're doing this. And I didn't immediately shit on it, but I was just like, I know it's going to be bad. I know it's going to be fucking bad. I know it's not going to do any justice to the whole thing. So why are they even doing this? It's just a money grab. And then Mike put it on the list and I was like, fuck, all right, okay, it's going to suck, but we can do it. But now I have to backtrack everything I said in the worst way possible, because this turned out to be amazing, in my opinion. And I don't know how they fucking pulled it off, dude. I don't know how they pulled it off. I feel like there was a discussion that was going on between the groups of people that got together to make this series. And they were like, okay, what do we want to do? What do we not want to do? What worked? What didn't work? And that process actually happened. And everything that they said didn't work with what they'd done before, they cut it out. And they didn't use it, and they didn't make the same mistakes. And that is how you make a fucking series from a sacred IP. You don't bust the lore, you don't change anything that isn't broken, and you get rid of the things that didn't work as long as you can get away with getting rid of them, right?
I mean, when it comes to the remakes, I wouldn't say they destroyed the IP. Just like I said, when you have the original and the remakes, you kind of have like a original Star Trek and Next Generation situation.
Here we go with Star Trek again.
No, I mean, for a lot of things, Star Trek is a good analogy, but that's the kind of thing you have with the originals.
I know,
and
I'm just picking on you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I like both. I like the originals and I like the remakes, even though there's the one famous scene I told you about.
Yeah.
At the end of that was what I hated, because that scene alone was so stupid and funny for all the wrong reasons that I couldn't take anything seriously anymore. Even everything that came before it was actually a shame, because up to that point, I actually liked them.
Yeah. Yeah. There were only a few things that I had that I didn't like about the remakes of this, which, by the way, we should probably go ahead and say what it is, because there's no way we can do this without busting it. So what are we doing today, Mike?
We are doing It. Welcome to Derry.
Cheers.
Yeah.
So if you were here for the episodes where we did the original Tim Curry It Made for TV series, the miniseries, I went off when we did that about how much I could not stand the Skarsgård version of Pennywise, right? Because the book itself, the clown was not inherently scary. He's not something you would have looked at and been scared of. You would have looked at it and been like, oh, that's just a clown. The scary part came when you realized what he was. And for that reason alone, it didn't fit what the book was for me, which the book is the source material. The book is fantastic. And that just kind of ruined it for me. And so when we did the Tim Curry version, I mentioned all the time how much I disliked the remakes, right? And like you said, Mike, not bad films. Not bad films. Like, they were well done. The story was all there. The acting was good. There were a few cringy parts, but I mean, that's pretty much every horror movie now. But I did not like the fucking clown, right? This changed my mind completely about how scary this clown can be. Because this version of Pennywise is the same version that we get in the reboot films, right? 1 and
Yeah,
2.
it's same actor as well.
It's the same actor, it's the same character, it's the same version of Pennywise. No difference.
That's also what I say. What I really like about the show that they
Yeah.
actually brought Bill Skarsgård back as Pennywise, because it would probably been cheaper for them to recast it. But I'm going to be honest, I really think that it's great that they did that. Let's be honest. Most people, even from newer generations, a lot of people now, if you say Pennywise, a lot of people have more the Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise in mind than Tim Curry's, just because the remakes were, I mean, at least from a financial standpoint, way more successful than the original Tim Curry ones were. If you look at Pennywise now, everywhere in pop culture where he's mentioned, or in fan art, or in cosplays, it's always Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise. No?
It's a
So
generational thing. It's just
yes,
like any of the other slashers in films, right? So
yeah,
it's the same thing with Jason. After Freddy versus Jason came out, the only fucking version you saw of Jason from then on out in advertisements and anywhere else
yeah,
was that version of Jason. And it continues. And if he looked any other way, most people would be like, who's that? He's got Jason's hockey mask on, but that's not really Jason. That's not the Jason I know. And you're right. This version of the clown has become synonymous with Pennywise throughout popular culture now. Barely
yeah,
anybody remembers Tim Curry's version except for us old dudes, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
So yeah, it made a lot of sense to bring him back. And quite honestly, Mike, I don't think it would have worked if they had.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
I mean, yeah, it's without Bill Skarsgård, it's just like you say. I mean, when it comes to Pennywise, it's Tim Curry or Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, just like I can't imagine any other actors playing it. And the only
Yeah.
reason why I think work with Bill Skarsgård is just, of course, Tim Curry can't do it anymore. Or so if an actor is so old he can't act anymore, or is dead, obviously they're going to have to recast it. Of course, I think a lot of people would agree with me. I don't see anybody else but Bill Skarsgård playing Pennywise.
Yeah.
And I personally don't think it would have worked out. I mean, because you could have probably maybe with makeup done a lot of things, or so to the point where you would not really see a difference. But the acting itself, and Bill Skarsgård is a good actor. He is a
Yes.
great actor. That you
Yes.
have to give him that.
You can say whatever you want to about the guy. The guy is amazing.
Amazing, just like everybody in that family.
Yes, yes. There's a genetic line for perfect acting, and his family
Yeah.
has it definitely.
Yes,
I mean,
totally.
it's
However,
also do you also not think that it's a little bit funny that his whole family is kind of synonymous with horror as well? How in the fuck did that happen? Like with the exception of one brother, the rest of them have done
the one
horror.
from Vikings, no?
Yeah, the guy who played Floki in Vikings
Yeah.
and I'm not sure, he may also be in a horror film somewhere, but the other two brothers are synonymous with horror, which is interesting because the dad was too. The dad's been in a few weird movies and a few horror films, and that's all I remember him in.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're fantastic with what they do. Like I forget what the other brother's name is.
The one
But
that
he was
played
in
True Blood?
Yeah, True Blood. The one who's in True Blood.
Yeah.
The one who played Eric, right? Fucking phenomenal in that fucking role.
Yes.
So yeah, you put a Skarsgård in something, it's gonna do well. I don't think there's been one that's done badly that any of them have been in. Honestly.
Well, the Crow remake.
I didn't see it. I heard bad things, but I also heard some good things. So that's kind of one of those I'd have to watch it for myself to figure out if it was bad or not.
Dude. I mean, I'm like, I saw the trailer and I'm like, no, I'm out. Fuck it. I really do not like it.
I'm with you.
So then after that, in the trailer, you have like this kind of Billie Eilish music going on, where I'm like, I mean, okay, I don't hate Billie Eilish and that kind of music. I just think it's insanely boring, but just not my cup of tea.
Especially
And
since the original soundtrack was mostly metal. I mean, Pantera was on that soundtrack.
yeah, it was. Yeah, the difference is it was the music and the vibe and everything. I mean, how should I say it? It was very gothic, the original Crow.
Yeah.
How should I say it? They've had like 4 movies or whatever. The only ones that were good were like the Crow 1 and the Crow 3. They were good. The others were there was
Which
like in
one
the
was
other
the
Crow
one which one was the one they had the little shit from the Terminator 2 coming in to play him?
that was the 4th one.
God, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean the thing is that was the 4th one. However, I mean, of course, the premise of all of the Crow stories is the same. So the plot is literally the same every single time.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's interchangeable, right.
Yeah, but I don't know. So I mean, the Crow 2 was I don't know. It was just
I didn't
I
even see
loved
him, like
I mean, I love the Crow 3. The Crow 3 was with Kirsten Dunst.
yeah,
I thought it was brilliant how they done it because you have like the guy gets killed on the electric chair.
yeah.
And they did the crow mask differently as well because in the crow mask, like the lines he has on his face are scars
Oh, okay,
and not drawn on there and whatever. And it's
okay,
really well done, really well done. Huh?
okay.
And then the 4th one, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I liked about the 4th one was the ending. You know, the end scene where he dies, goes back into the other life, and is reconnected with his girlfriend. Basically, what every crow. Yeah. And the same goes for the second one. There are certain parts of the movie I really like because they're just scenes that really stick to your head, and I love those scenes. But it's only singular scenes.
Yeah, yeah, it's kinda like I don't know, with every movie, I'm one of those people that if I see a movie and there's good parts of it, but
Yeah.
overall the movie was trash, right? Then it's forgettable for me. Like, I can't do it. And it's the same thing with a movie like Full Metal Jacket, right? I don't know if you've seen that. Stanley Kubrick.
Never got through it. I thought it was boring.
Okay, the opening with the drill sergeant and the time that they are in school, that can be one movie by itself. Everything else after that was dreadfully fucking boring. And so only people only remember that movie for the opening when they're in the drill academy. And for a good reason, because it's the only fucking good part of the movie. And for that reason alone, I can't say it's a good film, but people praise that movie like crazy. And that's the way I am with films. Like, if there's one part of it that I think is trash, or most of it is trash, except for a few parts, I'm like, nah,
Yeah. Yeah,
nah,
that's yeah, Full Metal Jacket is yeah, you know how I am. I'm not a fan of war movies or military movies. It's just for one, it bores me. All my friends back in the day, "Oh, Full Metal Jacket, Full Metal Jacket." No, I don't want to see I mean, first, I'm bored with it.
yeah,
Yeah, and I do not like modern military settings for the reasons I just mentioned. And second, it's nothing I could take enjoyment from. I mean, I read a lot about this stuff and I read a lot about history. But when I want to sit down, watch a movie, play a video game, and enjoy a story, these are not stories to be enjoyed.
yeah,
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with true crime stuff. I don't take much enjoyment of it. Read a little bit of these situations and it might be interesting to a certain aspect. I maybe watch a YouTuber and I watch is Call Me Chris. She does some of
yeah,
those stuff, whatever. I watch some of her videos as well. But in the most cases, that's just stuff I just think you should not be enjoying.
right. Yeah, I get it.
And
I see
people
what you're saying, and I
yeah,
get it. I
yeah,
do. I totally get it. At the same time, and this is going out in left field, but there's a certain amount of like, if you're a history buff, then there's certain films of that genre that you can like. Like, I'm not big on war movies. I don't like modern military films, for obvious reasons. I just don't want to. I've divorced that part of my life. I'm done with it. But I can go back and watch Saving Private Ryan because that was a fucking fantastic film. It had historical value and it was just overall a good story. But anything past something like Saving Private Ryan or maybe the series The Pacific or Band of Brothers, nah, not interested either. It bores the shit out of me. So I get it. I get it.
yeah.
one thing I can say about it in general, and this is something that I think most fans are in agreement of, and I consider myself a pretty big fan of it, as well as Stephen King's works that kind of fit into it, like
Mhm.
the Dark Tower series, Hearts in Atlantis, all that stuff. It's kind of all part of a bigger story, and the it part of the story has been handled very well. So you can say what you want about, if the reboots were good or if Welcome to Derry is good. For the most part, it's been handled very respectfully. They have not fucked with the lore. They haven't changed the character. Everything that is part of that universe is mentioned in one way or another. And that's one thing that I'll say about the series. There are things that they did not touch on in the movies, probably because they didn't have time and it wasn't relevant to the story being told. There were things that they didn't touch on in the movie that they touched on in the series. And I'm really thankful for that because it kind of brings the whole thing into the scope to where it's more understandable. Because before, if you watch it, right, and you didn't know anything about the clown, you didn't know anything about the entity, there's not really much to go on as to what this creature is then. So if you went into it blindly, this includes the Tim Curry version. If you went into it blindly without knowing anything, to you, it is a monster that likes to dress up as a clown and eat kids, and that's the end of it, right?
Yeah,
That's pretty much
yeah,
it.
yeah. If you don't do any research on it or look into it, I mean, to
Yeah.
be honest, I also have not read the book, but I usually do a lot of research on lore surrounding movies I like, whatever. So I would say, even though I haven't read the book, I'm familiar with the lore of Stephen King's works and familiar with the lore of Pennywise. But I mean, probably people that read the book might be more knowledgeable than me on that. But I can
Not
also,
really.
yeah, what?
Not really. Not really. I mean, there's a lot that goes on, but I mean, if you've actually, let's put it this way, if you've only gone in and looked up to see what Pennywise actually is and where he comes from, then that's all you really need to know. Everything else is side story that bleeds into the rest of Stephen King's works. And as
But it's
much as I
also
love, go ahead.
but it's also mentioned throughout multiple books. I mean,
Yes,
Pennywise, just like his sibling, the turtle, and their creator, are mentioned throughout so many books.
right.
Even though sometimes Pennywise is not even called Pennywise, but
Yeah,
the
he's not.
entity
He's got a bunch of different names. Bunch of
he's
different
cut
names.
by different names. Well, technically, what a lot of people also don't know is Pennywise is a god. There's
Yeah,
no other way to put it out,
yeah,
or a godlike entity. Huh?
yeah.
And Pennywise is a very, very interesting entity from a perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of things, I haven't read the book, but even in the movies and throughout this series, there are a lot of things where it's like, how when you have like people come with questions, how were these Native Americans capable of locking up this godlike being? How could have this happened? How could have that happened? And when I watched the series and of course the books, I also had in mind very, very strongly how everything happens appears to me as if there's another force helping them. And I always thought it's probably the turtle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would have to be, right? Because this is basically the sibling of Pennywise, but also his nemesis, right? And the whole reason
Yeah.
that Pennywise is in the position that he's in right now without the story being told, because technically right now, there is no story as to why he came to Earth and crashed there, right? All that I can think of and all that any other person online that cares about the story can come up with, and it makes perfect sense, is that there was some type of battle. Pennywise lost and was banished to a place, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at, and that's kind of where this starts, even though that has never been said.
It's never been said, but it's also, as far as I know, when it comes to the lore of these things, mentioned that the turtle is way more powerful than
Yes,
Pennywise.
yes, yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, they're two
the,
sides. They're
yeah,
two sides of the same creature. That's the
yeah,
thing. So
yeah,
there is a yin and a yang kind of thing, and
yeah,
it's hinted on in the series, but they don't talk about it. But it is hinted on.
yeah.
There is a successor or an all creator, which you can call God or whatever. And he created this entity in two parts. There is a protecting part and there is a destructive part.
Yeah.
Pennywise is the destructive part. The turtle is the positive part or the protective part, and his nemesis.
Yeah.
So what you have effectively, and this is something that I haven't heard brought up, but it's almost a bit biblical when you think about it, right?
Of course.
Because Pennywise would effectively be the
Lucifer.
devil. Yeah,
I mean,
Lucifer.
Pennywise would technically be Satan or Lucifer, and the turtle would technically be Michael.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
And
mean,
that's exactly what it is.
yeah. Yeah.
And
But
it can be argued that
yeah.
that's exactly what it is, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that argue that. This
I
is
mean,
the
but
battle that they were talking about in the Bible kind of thing. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
buy that, but I've heard it.
of course, of course. But I mean, the thing is, um, when it comes to fiction, fantasy, horror, whatever,
Everything
godlike
sounds like everything
entities,
else.
or when godlike apocalyptic situations like this happen, all of these kind of entities are somehow linked or somehow inspired by real life mythologies. No, I mean,
Yes.
Lord of the Rings, that's straight up Greek mythology.
Yeah.
No, they're taken out. No, I mean, um,
Greek and Nordic, yeah.
exactly, exactly. Pretty much every fantasy thing does that, and horror as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even this, here we come down to the point. This is also something a lot of people don't know. This is something you know when you're like a real nerd about it, and you actually like looking into the lore. Just like I said, everything happening so that they can defeat Pennywise, from my point of perspective, I saw is all things that the turtle brings in there. Now,
Mhm.
for example, the pillars. How how can this stuff hurt Pennywise? Probably the turtle sent it down there with him. There are so much things that
Yeah.
happens. How do they get that like to the point where it's mysterious? How did they get this hint, for example? Huh? How could this ghost come back and help the kids towards the end? And all of those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How could they get this vision and this vision? And it's like, for me, in my opinion, it's the turtle. Just like the black psychic guy,
Mhm.
from my point. I mean, where did he get those power from? I would say probably the turtle. And
That
as far as
guy that guy
as far,
yeah, definitely. And
yeah,
that guy is a reoccurring character in almost every one of Stephen King's books.
yeah,
He is around for almost everything. And he kind of tends to be the guy if you were gonna go to Star Wars, he's kinda like the Yoda character. He's the one that comes in and tries to explain what the abilities that you have are, where they come from, and how to use them.
yeah, yeah.
And if you've seen The Shining, that's where that character's from. He's the old black guy in The Shining.
The Shining.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so
that
yeah,
character.
but to agree to make now here's the interesting theory. Is
Mhm.
that God just the physical manifestation of the turtle in our reality, like Pennywise is for the entity? That would be an interesting theory, or
That would be the only problem is he doesn't understand anything himself. So when we see him in this series,
yeah,
this is him when he's younger, right? He's
yeah,
obviously had these powers his entire life and he says as much, right?
yeah,
But he doesn't have any clue who he is. He doesn't know why he has these powers. So I wouldn't say that was him, the turtle. I would just say that's a guy who's been kind of given
no,
a step up by the turtle,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
He's been endowed with something that other humans don't have, and he's not the only one. Um, there's, if I remember correctly, in the Dark Tower series, there's probably like 8 or 9 people
yeah,
that they mentioned that have this same gift, and it's called The Shining, right? And then, of course, one of those people is the kid from The Shining, right? So there are a bunch of human beings that have this gift, and you can also develop this gift over time to be super powerful, right? And so that's ultimately what happens in the Dark Tower series. And the Dark Tower series, a lot of people don't know, is the overall end to the It story. So if you read the Dark Tower series up to the last book and you find out the conclusion to the Dark Tower series, that is the end of Pennywise and that is the end of this universe and all the universes that he knows. So if you really want to know what happens to that character, Pennywise, you just have to go back and read the Dark Tower series, or you can wait until the series comes out because it's coming out in the next year.
Yeah. They don't.
They made a movie out of it, and it was absolutely dreadful. So they're doing a series now. Oh, it was fucking terrible. God, did not do it any justice whatsoever. But to get to the point of the whole thing, what you're seeing in this series is not stuff that was written by Stephen King. None of this is old material from a book. None of this is anything that was even fan theory before. This is all creation. This is all new. Unfortunately, when you do stuff like that, it tends to be bad. If you take an IP and you add to it with stuff that wasn't originally written and wasn't originally part of the story, you tend to ruin it. And they didn't do that here. They took parts of the lore that they had left over from the books and other things, and then they built upon those concepts and created the series out of that. And I'm glad they did. This is the most remarkable thing about it. This series right here is not a prequel, right? And you find that out towards the end of the series. I think it's the last episode.
Hmm.
This is not a prequel. This is actually a sequel or a requel, if you want to look at it that way. And it's done really, really, really smart. Did you catch that?
Hmm? You mean the end where it comes out that one of the little girls is Richie's mom,
Mhm.
and Pennywise points it out to them, and
Yeah,
that's why Pennywise was after the kids.
yeah,
Generally, these kids
yeah,
specifically, because it knows that their children are going to be the ones that are going to kill Pennywise.
yeah. This is
Yeah.
basically the Terminator, Mike.
Yeah, well, not really. Not really. I mean, it's like the point is, yeah, because Pennywise has not done any time travel at this point. Just like we said, Pennywise is a godlike entity and he can exist outside of our conception
Right,
of time and reality. So Pennywise can instantly look into past, future, present all at the same time.
right,
So that's kind of how Pennywise, just like the turtle, exists both at the same time in the past, future, and present.
yeah.
So it
He
makes
does,
sense.
but it does, but you kind of get the feeling here that this is probably the first time he's ever done that. Like and we'll get to it when we get to it, but he meets his end basically at the end of it, chapter 2. He
Yeah.
meets his end, and then for whatever reason, he can't tell if that was his birth or his death. He knows
Yeah.
it's his
Yeah.
death, but he also thinks, wait, it could also be my birth. I don't know. But he
Yeah.
decides that maybe he can change that outcome or possibly end this loop altogether, which is the whole point of him doing this. Does he want to live or does he want to die? And that's the question I come out of this at the end, and I don't know. Thankfully, there's going to be 2 more seasons of this that have already
Yeah.
been greenlit, so we're going to get more of the story.
Oh, there's two more. I've heard about one more season, but two new seasons
Yeah.
is new to me.
So there's always, I forget what they call it in the series, and I'll probably have to go back and when we go through it and look at it. But there's always some huge tragedy that happens at the end of each cycle of
Yeah,
Pennywise's terror.
the end of his feeding cycle.
Right. So at the end of his feeding cycle, there's always a huge tragedy. And we're reminded of 2 of those tragedies in this series, right? And so one of the tragedies that happen, we get to see a little glimpse of that in this season. And that's the whole bank robbery and the massacre that happened. And they mention it several times because they dig up a car from that incident. So the next one we're going to see is him going back to that incident, and we're going to watch all that happen. After that, there was another one that was I want to say it was a mass fire at a factory or something. And we see a little bit of that in it chapter 1, but they're going to go back to that too. So far we got 2 seasons greenlit. And I'm fine with it, dude, because this was
Yeah.
fucking great.
I thought it was great too. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I have really nothing negative to say about it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think what tickled everybody pink about this is it was technically, and it is technically a prequel, right? But then
It
again,
is a
it's not.
prequel. It is.
Yeah, it's a prequel, but then again, it's kind of not because if you're going from Pennywise's perception of reality, this has no place in the timeline at all. It just
Yeah, but that's
happens to
not the
happen
thing. I mean,
before.
if you
Yeah,
if you go from Pennywise's perspective of reality, but Pennywise's perspective of the reality is not the story in itself.
right, right. But then again, Mike, this also opens up, and this is going to be fun discussion. This also opens up the possibility for Pennywise to have made a few very stupid mistakes as well. This thing is not without its problems by any means. Okay, there are multiple times Pennywise does some stupid things that make no sense that he did them. One of which is going back to this time, and this is maybe something that we're going to have to be explained later.
But Pennywise does not go through back in time. He didn't go back into the past, Matt.
I know he lives outside of reality and time, right? I get that, but if you were going to stop this whole thing from happening, why would you not go back and change something about what happened with the Native American tribe, as opposed to killing the mother of the child that kills you in the future? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, easy explanation for that. We all know there are multiple forces working against Pennywise.
Hmm.
So Pennywise is not stupid. He's not afraid of humans or mortals, as we would say it. But it's obviously mentioned throughout multiple works of Stephen King that he is afraid of the turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that the turtle is way more powerful than him.
Hmm.
So kind of weird to say. Also, Pennywise might even know if he fully tries to destroy Earth, the turtle is going to do something against him. If
Yeah.
he, I mean, I'm pretty sure Pennywise is aware how far he can step out of line before the turtle does something against him.
Mm.
So I would say that is kind of the reason why Pennywise would not do it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the turtle's influence throughout our world is way much larger than Pennywise's.
Oh
Duh.
yeah, absolutely.
The fact because the turtle is a protector and he feeds off of hope, unlike Pennywise that feeds off of fear. For example, the Green Mile, the entity
Hmm.
actually that's the guy got his powers from, and that they're talking about is not technically God. It's the turtle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
I think they say as much in the book too,
maybe,
if I'm
maybe.
not mistaken. Can't remember if I read the Green Mile or not, to be honest.
You know, that's just what's so interesting and crazy about this stuff because what you say is a valid argument, but why would Pennywise not go back and prevent the Native Americans from doing this and doing that and whatever? Also, how could a bunch of Native Americans with sticks lock up this entity?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think, and this is something that maybe people want to write in on and try to explain it, but from everything that I know from all the Stephen King books I read, um, and I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but you really do need to go back and read the Dark Tower series, right? But the turtle himself is also very flawed, right? I
Yeah, of
think
course.
it's possible that these entities don't really truly know what could stop them, what their weaknesses are. It's possible that they have no idea, right? And
Probably.
That's apparent from the Dark Tower series because if you read the Dark Tower series, you know who the turtle is, who he actually is, right? And he's a very, very flawed, unknowing character. And so I would assume Pennywise probably didn't know, and you kind of feel this way too. He probably didn't know that when he crashed and got stuck where he got stuck in the woods, that his spaceship, I'm gonna call it for lack of a better word, his pod, was his weakness. I don't think he really
Prob-
knew that.
well, I mean,
I think he found that out.
When he crash landed, but you see out through the series that the material from his pod are what was used to build the pillars that keeps
Right.
him basically
Yeah, of
locked up.
course.
Might not, but also if you seem like these are godlike entities, they might
Yeah.
not even think of the fact that they have a weakness. Pennywise, for example,
Mhm.
he technically is a literal god, so that is going to cause a certain amount of arrogance in
Yeah.
him.
And you see
He's
that
not going to.
in the
He's
show.
not. What it shows,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
He's not going to think that he can be killed in any way. Why? He's a god. Nothing
Yeah.
can kill me. So
Right.
obviously, yeah, it could be why Pennywise makes multiple mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe. I just thought it was an odd pick for him to go back and try to take out the mother of Richie when he could
I
have done something else.
don't really think he was actively after her because she was not the first one he targeted. He noticed that
Yeah,
later on.
that's the other thing. Yeah.
So I do not think that Richie's mom was the reason why he went back there. I guess it's just it was his feeding cycle, and he started after going after his kids. And when Richie's mom got involved, that is when Pennywise took a special interest in her.
So you think he was already in the cycle and then realized who she was
Yes,
halfway through the feeding cycle? Okay.
yes, that's
That
what
could
I
make a
think.
little bit more sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could see
yeah,
that. Okay. Um, yeah. If that's the case, then that's actually the only thing that would make sense is if time is not linear for him and everything's a circle, like
yeah,
time in the Stephen King world is one big circle. It repeats itself over and over and over again. It's a cycle. And so everything that Stephen King writes is written in a cycle, right? Throughout all these books that are connected to the Dark Tower series. But that would point to the fact that if you've been through the cycle once or twice, then if you go through the cycle again, you remember things from the first cycle and can therefore maybe try to change the outcome. If you're a god. If you're a human, you're fucked. You're stuck in the cycle. When you die, that's it.
yeah,
But for gods, they probably can remember things from the first cycle and be like, wait a minute, I know who that is. That's this person who has this kid who kills me eventually.
yeah, yeah,
That could make sense. Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
But needless to say, for anyone who was not like a big fan of this stuff or really knew
Mhm.
anything about the Stephen King universe or The Shining or the Dark Tower series, this was a huge revelation for so many people. And that's why it was funny to watch people online write about it because they would catch an episode and I didn't really read what the episode was about, but I would kind of look at the comments and people were like, "Oh my god, he's a god. Oh my god, he's done this. Oh my god, he's this." And I'm like, "Yeah, we've known that forever. Why the fuck is everybody flipping out?" And it's because they didn't know anything about the entity
Pennywise.
or the universes he comes from or any of that stuff. So, for that reason alone, the series itself is great. I mean, we haven't seen season 2 or 3 yet, but season 1 is excellent, and it actually gives, I'm gonna say, like, normies, maybe, who don't really know anything about it, it gives them insight into the whole story.
Yeah,
And for
yeah,
that reason alone, I like this a
me
lot.
too. But I always find it mind-boggling that nobody actually made that conclusion. That Pennywise could technically be a god. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I have not read the book. I've always wanted to, but haven't came around to it yet.
You don't have to. If you've seen the
But
movie,
but
you've
thing is, I even in the Tim Curry movies, my first thought was this thing is some kind of a godlike entity.
yeah,
Because
but
I
he
mean,
says
just
that.
what I'm not. When does it say that?
He says that in the end, it's the last
Yes,
episode
in the
of the
series. I
miniseries.
mean, in the series, but I'm not talking like in the series. I mean, am I talking
Yeah.
like in the movies and in the Tim Curry versions? There, I
Yeah.
don't remember that actually being said, but I just go by what this thing does. Nah,
Mm,
this thing affects the minds of an entire village, thousands of people
yeah.
them at the same time. It can be in multiple places at the same time. It can warp realities to a certain extent. No matter how often you kill it, it constantly comes back. What is that if not a god?
Right. Yeah. It's obvious. I mean, I think it was obvious, even with the
Yeah.
Tim Curry
For me,
version, if you hadn't read the book.
yeah.
The very last episode of the miniseries where they all go down as adults and confront him in the sewers, he says, "You can't kill me. I'm eternal."
Yeah.
That right there was everybody's clue that he was a god or something that
Yeah.
is just inconsequential in our world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the thing is, though, he's a god with boundaries, right?
Yes.
Uh, and the thing is, can you imagine this thing on the scale that it wants to be alive on? So if it was unbridled, if it didn't have to be locked up in this cage, so to speak, Can you imagine what this thing could do? This thing would eat the world because he
Yes.
is an eater of worlds. He would have destroyed the earth in a matter of probably days.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So, and the only reason he was able to be locked up, which we'll see that when we do the series, was because when he landed on Earth, he was weak as fuck. He'd just been beat the fuck up.
Yeah.
So he was at his absolute weakest and trying to the only thing that I can associate this with is kind of like in vampire lore where you have a vampire who hasn't fed in a very, very long time. They're weak as fuck. They're basically stuck in their house or wherever it is that they can't go very far from, and they're feeding on rats.
Yeah.
That's basically how he is when this thing starts,
Mhm.
right? Because he's had the shit beat out of him. So he's weak, and the only thing that stopped him from taking over the planet was the fact that these Native Americans got wise to him while he was weak.
Yeah.
They were like, okay. So, and it's real quick too. They're like, so don't go in the woods in that part of the woods because if you go in that part of the woods, he'll eat you. And why that's bad is one, you're dead. Two, he gets stronger. So if we don't send anybody into that part of the woods, then the thing can't get any more powerful and it's no
Yeah.
threat to anyone. So they avoided this creature for the longest time by just staying out of its way.
Yeah.
And then when it did get a little bit more powerful, they were like, okay, how do we stop this thing? And they figured it out in time before he could get powerful enough to leave that area. Right.
Yeah.
So it's fucking brilliant. I love it. They've never done this before. They've never talked about it. The most you got in the books about this creature is the fact that it ended up coming to Earth and then has to stay in this area called Derry for some reason that nobody really knows. And that's all we got from the books. This is the first time it's being explained.
Yeah.
And they did a really fucking good job explaining it. A really
Mhm.
fucking good job. I don't think
Yeah.
they could have come up with a better story. And Stephen King gave his props too. He was like, that's actually what I would have written if I had written
Yeah.
this.
I know.
Yeah.
Stephen King praised it. He praised the
Yeah.
show for what they were.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they consulted with Stephen King when they were making it, and he signed everything off and praised it prior to the series coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't have anything bad to say about it. I mean, I'm not really sure how much how much credit I can give for Stephen King's props to anything because the guy is kind of a loose cannon. But I mean, still, I don't care. I love the
Well,
guy's
I
writing.
mean, well, of course he is a loose cannon, obviously, but this is like these are his stories technically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can say whatever you want. He's absolutely justified to criticize these things or say when he personally thinks it's good or not. I mean, it's all
Yes.
based on his work.
Oh yeah, and he does
Yeah.
criticize things. There have been
Oh,
movies that have come out, and he's like, "I really wish I hadn't given them the rights to that. That was absolutely fucking awful." You know. Uh, Pet Cemetery being one of those. He did not like Pet Cemetery at all.
which one? The remake
The
or the original?
original. The
He
original.
didn't like the Pet Cemetery.
He
Okay.
didn't like it, even though it was a hit, and it's a classic. Like that's a horror movie that
Yeah.
most people know. He didn't like it at all, and there were a few other ones that he didn't like either. So there have been movies where he was like, "Nope, that's trash. I wouldn't have done it that way." But he
Mhm.
gave this one mad props. He's like, "This is great. Keep going."
Yeah.
We should have probably done cast and crew, and I've completely forgot to do
Oh,
that shit.
so let's go through the cast and crew, and let's just for shits and giggles. Every time I butcher a name, you have to take a shot. I would say for our
Like
viewers.
everybody's gonna be wasted before you even get through the cast and crew, dude. That's a really
Okay,
bad idea.
we have
We want
Bill.
people to be sober when they're watching this, at
Okay,
least.
we have Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise. Clara Stack, who plays Lily Bainbridge. And by the way, taking a shot goes for the real actor's name and for the character's names as well.
You're doing double drinking duty this time. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Taylor Page, paid by no. Actually, she plays Taylor Page plays the character Charlotte Hanlon. Matilda Lawler playing Marge Truman. Rudy Mancuso playing Captain Polly. Blake Cameron James playing Will Hanlon. We have Madeline Stowe playing Ingrid Kirsch. Amanda Christine. Character's name is not mentioned here. We have Chris playing what got the fuck Dick Halloran. No, that's funny name. Okay, we
Yes.
have yeah, uh,
Yes, it is.
what?
Yes, it is a funny name.
Yeah, okay. This funny this Dick Halloran.
That is the actual character's name, yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, but
His name is actually Richard, but everybody calls him Dick.
yeah, okay. Dick
Now
Halloran.
in The Shining,
Yeah,
they actually call him Richard instead of Dick.
yeah, okay.
But
We
this
have
is
Jack
his
Malloy.
military nickname, you know?
Yeah, we have Jack Malloy Legalt, who plays Phil Malkin. We have the actor James Ramar, who plays General Dumbass.
Yeah, I love that
Um,
actor, by the way.
the actor is great, but his character is a complete fucking moron,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he is.
However, we have Jake Austin. Oh, okay. Maddie is played by Miles Exhart. Joven Adipo playing Leroy Hammond. That's the guy we got into. God
Yeah,
damn it! There's so much characters. I'm gonna be
I know.
on this for, but I would say, what? Let's leave it at that point. We've been through quite four, and if you like our podcast, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give us a like on this video, and leave a comment. And don't forget to hit the bell button.
So, the coolest part about this, Mike, is that we don't get a flashback, right? So, if you haven't seen the It movies and you go and watch this, there's no flashback, there's nothing telling you what's coming. There's nothing explaining the form that this thing likes to take or any of that stuff. You're just going into it blind, right? And if you
Mhm.
go into this blind, it works. Like, you don't need to know anything. You don't need to know
Yeah,
shit. And it opens up in the past, 1962. And like we kind of said, there have been two other instances, probably three other instances, I think, throughout history where this has happened. This is just another cycle for this creature. But he starts off this cycle doing something that he hasn't done before in any of the books or the movies. And I
Mhm.
found it a little strange, but it's effective. Every time that you've seen Pennywise do something to anybody or read about him doing anything to anybody, it's always one entity that he shows up as, right? If it's the movies, he shows up as a werewolf or a leper or a corpse or whatever. It's usually just one character. When we first see this entity do anything in the series, he shows up as a car full of a family. Did you see that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's the first time that's been done, and it was an odd choice. But what that does is it tells you that he doesn't just have to show up as one thing to scare you. He can actually be multiple different things, right? And that's terrifying. If you know what this thing is capable of, it's terrifying, right? Um, this opens up in a theater in 1962 on a character called Maddie, he's
Yeah.
what is that? He's like, what is he, 12-year-old boy, something like that?
Yeah, I think something around that 12-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's hanging out in a theater watching a movie that is not a horror movie. It's just like I don't know. It's like one of those sing along movies that they used to do back in the 60s, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But it's
yeah,
it's obviously an adult film. Like, it's not a film that kids would go see. It's an adult film.
yeah.
It's about revolution. And he's sitting there, and the one of the security people that run the theater is walking down the aisles with a flashlight looking for people who have snuck into films, which is what they used to do. Nowadays, they don't really care so much about that. But the security guy finds him, puts a flashlight on him, and says, "Hey, get out of here." And so the kid runs back into the theater and hangs out behind a cardboard cutout that's in the lobby. And there is a girl that's in the lobby
Mhm.
that is the daughter of one of the guys that works. I think is his
No,
name's Hank.
he owns the theater.
Yeah, he owns the theater, right? And
Mhm.
so he's a black man, and his daughter is there, kind of hanging out, and she sees Maddie hiding behind the cardboard cutout. The security guy comes in and he's like, "Hey, have you seen a kid about 12 years old, about this high? He was hiding out in the theater, and I caught him and he ran out here." She sees him hiding behind the cardboard cutout, but she says, "Yeah, he went that way." So she doesn't give up his position. And Hank, the guy who owns the theater, is looking at the security guy like, I mean, if it's the kid you're talking about, Maddie, have you seen his family and how they treat him? Let the kid watch movies. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. His home life is dreadful, right? So we already know this kid's parents are abusive.
Yeah.
So this kid runs away from the theater because he doesn't
Mhm.
want to get caught. The security guy sees him running away, so he chases him down the street. This kid has kind of had enough. I feel like this is probably the one place that he felt like he could go to get away from home. And now
Yeah.
that's fucked. Like he can't go there anymore because now they're on to him. So he decides to leave town, right? And so the next scene we get is him kind of on the outskirts of town. The reason we know it's the outskirts of town is because the big sign that says "Welcome to Derry" is right there. So he's passing past that sign, leaving city limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kid kind of looks disheveled, like he's not real clean. His clothes look a little bit older. He looks like kind of a wanderer.
And he has a black eye that would hint towards him being abused by
Right.
his dad.
Right. And so it's pretty noticeable that something's not right with this kid. A family pull up in a car next to him, and they roll down the window, and the woman that's in the car, who's obviously the mom, is like, "Hey, is everything okay? It's cold out here. Do you need a ride? Where you need to go?" He said, "Anywhere." He says to him, "Anywhere but Derry. I want to go anywhere but Derry." And then the mother says, "Well, that's good because we're on our way to such and such a place. I don't remember what it was. We'll take you with us." And he's like, "Okay." So he hops in the car. It's a mom, a dad, and two kids, a boy and a girl. And they're riding along. There's nothing about this family up front that would give you any idea that they're weird, that they're strange, that they have any other, thing in their head about what they're going to do to you. They don't look evil. They look like a very normal family. So
Yeah.
he's in the car riding along with them, and then weird shit starts happening. Like really weird. The daughter that's in the back seat has like this Tupperware bowl
Yeah.
that has the word liver written on the outside of it. And she's
Mhm.
popped open the Tupperware bowl and she's got her hands inside of it messing around with what looks like a liver that's full of blood, right?
Yeah.
And she takes her fingers out of it that are drenched in blood and then wipes them on his face. You're like, okay, what kind of weird shit is going on here, right? And then slowly the mom starts saying some really fucking weird things.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's really off color stuff that no mother would be saying in front of her kids or some stranger kid or anything like that. And all of a sudden, she starts giving birth to something in the car. Right? And
Yeah.
this scene right here, Mike, this
It's
Chrissy was watching it with me
yeah.
up until this part. She was like, "You know what? I don't want to see this."
Yeah, the
She's
thing
like,
is, I was watching it with Connie, a friend of mine as well,
yeah,
and she also had problems. I think this is a scene I think the most women are gonna have a problem with.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's brutal, man, because
it
it's an
is. It is.
actual like forced birth scene in
Mhm.
the first opening 10 minutes of this series, and
Yeah,
it's not done tastefully. It's very gory. There's a lot of screaming. It's just not a very pleasant scene. And so she has this baby in the front seat. And while she's giving birth to this thing, you see everything in vivid detail.
yeah,
It's not like they cut away or anything like that. Like you see this thing get birth out of her body. And then it changes into this horrible baby bat humanoid type creature that
yeah,
starts flying around the car and trying to attack the kid. Just for lack of a better word, totally batshit crazy scene. And then as the thing is attacking the kid in the car, you watch the car drive away outside of Derry, and that's the end of the opening scene, right? And like I said, that was enough for Christy to be like, "No, you can watch this on your own. I'm not watching this. This is fucking too much." And like I said, this is the first time we've seen Pennywise do anything that has to do with more than one person that he appears
yeah,
as.
yeah,
He appeared as a car and a whole family. So the first time we've seen it, and I found it pretty interesting. So thanks for that. 4 months later, keep in mind this is still 1962. 4 months later, there is we're on an Air Force base that's in Derry, right?
yeah,
And they mentioned this Air Force base before in the books, but they didn't really say much about it. They said that there was experiments that went on here back in the 60s. Nobody knows what they were, but now the base is vacant. And so now we're getting the story of exactly what that was.
Yeah.
So these two captain pilots are flown into the base here, and they're not from this base. They're from a different base, but they've been flown here for what they've told is a mission, right? And so now they're staying there. It's a guy and his best friend.
The character's name is Leroy Handlin.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Leroy, and he's there with his best friend as well, who's also a pilot that's worked with him. Good. Okay, so these guys are flown into the space for a specific reason. They're
Yeah.
told it's a secret mission. They're not yet told what the mission is. They assume it's because they're pilots. They're probably going to end up flying planes to spy on the Russians because this is the exact time that the Cold War is going on. This is also the time that America was very, very tired of the Cold War. 1962, everybody was fed up with it. Everybody wanted someone to attack someone so that we could just get it over with. And so what the government would, it's true. And so
Yeah, I know,
that's why
I know.
that's why this works so beautifully, is because the attitude that you see on display here from the military is exactly how it was. They wanted the Russians to attack, and the idea was if we coerce the Russians or poke the bear enough, they'll do something. We have to hope it's not like them dropping a bomb, because that's the last thing we want. But we want them to do something, because if they attack us, then we can go on a full scale war with Russia and get it over with. And so pilots were being flown from all over the United States and Europe to specific bases for secret missions. And so that's what these guys think they're doing. The reason they chose these guys specifically is because they're both decorated pilots
Yeah.
from the Korean War. I'm going to call him Hanlon because that's his name. Hanlon. Right?
I'm calling him General Dumbass.
Okay. Sure. He is for more than one reason. And I had a huge problem with this guy's character because of his motivation.
In the beginning, it was like, yeah, okay, fine. Actually, I liked him because this is a time where a lot of people were insanely racist, and this guy is like totally against all of that. He's against all of this shit. He even says it up straight up to begin with. I don't want this shit on my base, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
What actually makes him very sympathetic. I really like the guy. I really
That
did.
is the whole point, though, Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the whole point, because if you can come up with something that touches people's heartstrings and makes you agree with someone's personality, then it's that much more hurtful later when you find out that he's a shitbag person.
Exactly.
Right? So this is a very smart move. Yeah. So the two pilots that come in, one of them is a major and one of them is a captain, and they're introduced to their crew, their flight crew, by the general, right? And like you said, one of the guys refuses to salute the major. He's an enlisted guy. I want to say he's an E4, right? So lower enlisted. And he refuses to salute the major because the major is black.
Yeah.
And the major says, hey, he's not a dick about it. He's like, you're saluting the rank. You're not saluting the person. Salute the rank. It's what we do, blah, blah, blah. The guy doesn't want to salute him. He doesn't say why. He just stares at him. The general notices that, walks over and says, hey, you're going to salute the major. And that's the end of it. We're not going to have any of this racist shit in this crew, period.
Yeah.
Right. And so immediately you like the guy. So smart move, because immediately I liked him too. It also helps because he's actually the actor who played Dexter's father in the original Dexter series. Right. Yeah. So you kind of get a scene where Hanlon goes into the general's office and the general sits down with him and kind of starts explaining why he invited him here. He tells him he invited him to come here and be on this part of the mission because he was a successful pilot throughout the Korean War. He also has a lot of guts and does not appear to be scared to do crazy things that will win or turn the tide of the war. And he also remarks on an injury that this guy supposedly had in the line of duty. And the injury that he has affects the part of his brain that makes you scared. So I can't remember. It's not frontal cortex. It's another part of the brain, but it's whatever part of the brain controls fear specifically. Because emotions and everything else, sympathy, empathy, all that stuff comes from a different part of the brain. This particular part of the brain that's injured makes it to where this guy has no fear at all.
What's
And so
not
that
good for Pennywise.
not good for Pennywise at all because he feeds off of fear.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to us, these guys already know what Pennywise is. They know what type of entity he is, and they are looking for him.
Not entirely. They don't.
Well, okay, so they don't know what kind of entity he is, but
They
they
know
know,
he's an entity.
yes, that feeds on fear and uses people's fear against them to get to them. That's about all they know. And that's
Yeah.
because Dick Hanlon has told them that, right? Dick Hanlon's the guy who picked them up in the Jeep and brought them to the area. He is a special case. He's actually a cook. His actual job is a cook in the military, but he's being used in Special Weapons Division because he has the ability to see things from the future, see things from the past, and also be able to communicate with people over long distances using his mind.
Yeah.
And they're using him to track Pennywise. And the reason that they have this pilot there is because he doesn't have any fear, and they know that he will be perfect to send into the lion's den, basically. Right.
Yeah.
Now, this general is not really the type of guy that just believes stuff. So he wants to test out if this guy actually doesn't have any fear or if it's just bullshit. Right.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the night, some guys bust into his room and beat the crap out of him. And they all have gas masks on their face so that you can't see who they are. They beat the crap out of him and then they put a gun to his head and they say, "Hey, this plane that you flew, we want details. We want to know how it works. We want to know what this mission was and this mission and this mission." And so what this looks like is a bunch of guys that could possibly be in league with the Russians that are trying to figure out military secrets so that they can attack the Americans.
Mhm.
This guy gets a gun put to his head and says, they tell him, "Hey, we want to know everything about these missions." He basically looks at them without any fear whatsoever and says, "I'm not telling you, you're just going to have to shoot me." Right. And at that point, his friend that he flew into the base with busts into the room and fights the other guys off until they leave. The next morning, he goes back to the general and he says, "Hey, I'll give you my side of the story and what happened. Can you tell me more about who you think these guys are and if you think they're some of our people on this base?" The general says, "Yes, we're going to be questioning everybody. We're going to figure out who did this. Don't worry about it." Right. And so a little bit down the line, they've arrested somebody, and it turns out to be the racist guy who didn't salute him when he first showed up. Right. Now, this guy is not the brightest guy in the world. He's kind of a dumbass. So it's already obvious that probably he would not have wanted to know this information. He's has no reason to attack him, right? And this guy knows that. So he goes and visits him in his cell and sits down with him and says, "Hey, I noticed that when the guys attacked me in the room the other night, they had this weapon." And he pulls out a handgun that is specifically a Russian handgun. And he says, "Now, I've seen people handle this weapon when I was in Korea. It's not a very good weapon. The magazine sticks most of the time. And to even be able to get a shot off, you had to have used this weapon constantly. And the other night in my room, I saw you put the magazine in this weapon, do exactly what you need to do to get this thing fitted correctly to fire it, and you were ready to fire. And you wouldn't have been able to do that unless you've used this weapon 1,000 times. So here's the weapon." And he puts it down right in front of the guy and then starts insulting him, right? To get him mad, so he'll pick up the weapon, chamber around, and shoot him. He gets him mad enough to do that. The guy reaches down, grabs the weapon, tries to get the magazine in, doesn't get it in all the way, can't figure out what to do with his hands, and can't get a round out. And that's how he knows that it wasn't him that attacked him that night, or even why he attacked him. So basically, what the general did was set this guy up to take the fall for the attack that happened the night before.
Yeah.
So what the major does is he goes back to the general and he says, "Hey, the guy that you have in the cell is not the right guy. I'm going to tell you why, and it has everything to do with this weapon. He didn't do it. Who did it and why?" He figures out that the general actually had something to do with this. And so the general gives in and he's like, "Yes, it was me. I set it up. You have every right to report me for it, but at least listen to my story before you do that." And so the general then explains to him, I needed to know that you truly don't have any fear and that you're the guy we're looking for before I tell you the rest of the story. And so you've proven that now. You obviously don't have any fear, and therefore you're the best person for this project.
Yeah.
He brings him into one of the areas of the base where they're conducting secret experiments. And he says, so we've been tracking this entity or this thing. We don't know what it is for the longest time. And we have a guy here. His name's Dick Halloran. He is basically, I forget what he calls him. He just says he can do things that nobody
Psychic.
else can do.
Calls him
So,
a
yeah,
psychic.
kind of psychic, right?
That's what. No, that's
And
literally what he uses.
he says psychic. Okay.
Mm.
And he says, so we have him and we feel like he's close to being able to locate this creature. So we're in this area in Derry right now because we know the creature is close to here and
Mhm.
we want to find it so that we can use it. And what we want to do is use it on the Russians. So if we're able to capture this creature, then we can take it and drop it into Russia or to enemy territory and let it murder everyone in that area. And that's the plan, right? Highly unorthodox. I'm not really sure the military I'm not really sure the military would have let something like this happen. So now you kind of have the story of what exactly the military is doing. The military is trying to find a weapon that they deem a super weapon so that they can use it on Russia, possibly get them to attack or maybe take out the Russians altogether. And that's the reason they're looking for it, right? Um, at the same time that this story is happening on the military base, we're also getting the story of what's happening in the town. So there's a group of 3 kids, and we don't see these 3 kids for very long because they don't make it very long, right?
No, I mean, do they die? I think the first or second episode they already get killed, or
Yeah, it's the first episode, dude, and they
yeah,
bit the bullet. They bit the bullet. They died immediately. And so what it is, Maddie's gone missing, obviously, because he went missing at the beginning of the episode. His friend that knew him is looking for him, and she's worried. And what she's doing is she's hearing his voice in her bathroom through the pipes, right? If you haven't seen it before, then this is gonna come off as really strange to you, and a lot of people were like, "What the fuck? Bleh? Voices in the drain?" This is how Pennywise does things, right? He starts getting into the mind of everybody else in the town
yeah,
so that he can get them nice and scared and then eat them because he likes to eat people when they're scared because it
yeah,
seasons the meat. So she says she goes to her other friend. She's like, I hear his voice in the drain. I know he's still alive. That means he's probably in the sewers. We need to find him. She goes to the last known place of the person that saw Maddie last, which was the daughter of the guy who owns the theater.
yeah,
Goes to her house and says, hey, I'm hearing his voice in the drain. Have you heard his voice before? Or are you seeing strange things? And she says, yes, I'm also seeing strange things. I'm hearing things. Something's not right. So maybe we should go to his last known location, which is the theater, and see if there's any clues there. Right. Well, the theater is also closed at this point. I think it's closed for the season or something.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. Theater's closed. This girl has a knowledge of how to work the projectors. So all the kids go to the theater and they go and they watch the movie, which was the movie Maddie was watching when he was there. They turn it on and they start watching it. And all of a sudden, weird shit starts happening. Maddie, the kid who went missing, is actually in the screen in the movie looking back at them,
yeah,
screaming, it's your fault. It's your fault. And then he crawls out of the screen, but as he's crawling out of the screen, it's actually that bat creature again,
yeah,
right? It's the humanoid bat creature. It flies out. This thing is now twice the size it was when it was in the car. And it straight up murders all these fucking kids except for 2. And this is great because with the original It movies and the remakes, you didn't get a whole lot of blood and gore. You got it here and there, but it wasn't as in your face as it is in this series. And so he horribly murders all these kids, which, by the way, all these kids are members of families that you see in the It movie. So these are the kids that they talk about dying during the first cycle of Pennywise and his
yeah,
destruction. So they get killed. The only 2 people that are left are the girl who went to get the other girl who saw Maddie at his last location and her. Those are the
yeah.
only 2 left. And they go to the same high school, right?
That's Lily and the daughter of the guy who owns the cinema. I don't remember her name. The actress's name is Amanda Christine, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it's okay. So they go back to school the next day. Obviously, the whole school is kind of in an uproar because these kids are dead. Everybody knows about it. They don't know they're dead. They know that they're missing, right?
Uh,
And so we get a shit ton of character development here that literally takes the rest of the episode and most of the next episode. But we're introduced to a few other characters, one of which is the future mother of Richie, right?
yes.
And
Yeah.
we don't know this yet. We just know that her character's name is Marge, which is the name of his mother, even though you don't really see her but one time in the other It movies.
Yeah, but you never really notice it. No, so
No,
yeah.
it's done brilliantly because
Yeah.
you don't even know it once she physically attacks herself. There's a great scene here because Pennywise starts wreaking havoc on the school, right?
Yeah. Mm.
He starts other students start to see weird things. The whole city is starting to get very fearful, and this is exactly what Pennywise does, right?
Yeah.
He starts to get everyone fearful, it seasons the meat, and then he'll come back and eat everybody.
Yeah, but
As he's doing Go ahead.
also he drains his power from it. The more people fear him, the more powerful he becomes.
Right.
That's also a thing, no?
He's
So
basically like the boogeyman.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what the boogeyman is. Like, the more fearful people are, the more powerful he is, and that's what he's doing. He's getting the town scared. And so there is a point where he starts terrorizing everybody in the school, including Marge, right? And so there's this great scene where all the kids are watching this, like, science show where it shows parasites attacking a snail. But
Well, basically, yeah, okay. What you're bringing up now is definitely something that happens later. It's when Pennywise starts terrorizing Marge. That
yeah,
is Richie's mom. They put out this scene where you see where they show when parasites do to snails, where they make their long eyes elongate or whatever. And then this was Lily. Marge was also friends with a Mean Girl group,
yeah,
and they were planning on kind of pulling a prank, a very, very mean prank Lily, like having one of the popular boys acting like he wants to
yeah,
ask her out or whatever. Very, very mean. No. However, Marge attempts to go into Lily's to warn her. No, but is conflicted because she wants to be part of the popular kids group,
right.
but also still wants to stay friends with Lily. That is kind of an outsider. So she's.
Yeah.
This is
This
what
is typical
actually
high
would
school. This
typical high school, however. You have like just this conflicted situation going on. No? And Pennywise eventually starts to basically fuck around with Marge and starts making her eyes come out like these parasites from the snail. What
right.
made Marge totally fucking crazy. She's in
Yeah.
pain and everything. And she goes into the workshop room and starts cutting off the
Our
now
eyes.
Aaron
Yeah.
eyes with this thing. Tries to stop her. Tries to help her. Actually manages to do so, but through all of the hearing or whatever, everybody is aware and comes running into the room. And at that point, Lily is just sitting on top of her, holding a I think what's it called? Phyla? I can't think of the English term for it. Huh?
It's like a knife, basically,
Yeah,
right?
basically holding a knife.
Yeah.
However, of course, obviously Marge gets to the hospital and Lily gets accused of attacking her, whatever. A few episodes prior to that, Lily was also back into the asylum because she's been having some kind of mental health issues
It was after her dad died, I think.
after her dad died. But what prevents her from actually any actions being taken against her is that Marge says that Lily never attacked me and blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
no, but yeah, exactly.
'Cause she really doesn't wanna go back to this mental institution either, because
Yeah, yeah,
she wasn't treated well the last time she was there.
yeah, yeah,
So and she said it over and over, "Hey, people already think I'm crazy, so if anything else happens, they're gonna send me back there." And
yeah,
now
yeah,
this has happened where it looks like she's attacked Marge,
yeah,
but because Marge, like you said, because she defends her and says, "Hey, she didn't attack me, she was trying to help me," they don't immediately send her back.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But just like you said, you have like the military story going on.
Yeah,
By the other hand, the Derry story going on, where like
right.
have the thing with the kids going on. What is, well, to a certain degree, a lot of people call it a rehash of the Losers Club.
It
Well,
is.
it
But
is, but that's
well,
just what that's just what
so
it is. Yeah.
so that's the other thing that I had to disagree with most people online. So a lot of people say that, and that is something that a lot of people said. They're just
Yeah.
retelling the story. But in every Stephen King novel, including the Dark Tower series, there's always a group that forms to attack something that's evil. So
Yeah. That's
Dark
every
Tower
Steve.
series, it's called a quartet, right?
Yeah.
And it's several people that have one purpose and they're predestined to do so. Through ever like destiny is always a theme. And so these people are destined to come together and fight
Yeah.
against this thing, happens in every one of Stephen King's novels. So the criticism isn't fair that they're just rehashing the film. They're actually rehashing what Stephen King does in every novel.
Yeah.
Stand By Me is another good example.
Yeah, Stand By Me, exactly. No, you have, like, the story going on in the town because the people clearly think he did it,
Right.
and the sheriff also thinks he did it, but he's telling the people, "Yeah, I have no evidence," or blah, 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 or whatever. And after this is, like, of course, this is a post that shows a lot of racism that was going on at the time,
Yeah.
because it's just like, you can clearly see why. He's black, and they're all a bunch of racist assholes, and they just want him gone, and they can't find evidence against him, so they place it, more or
Yeah.
less.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. This
But
is all.
while they're looking to pin these murders on him,
Yeah, yeah,
as you said, the chief of police doesn't have any proof that he did this stuff. So what they do is they say, well, we have one other person that saw you out walking that night at this time when you said you were at home, and you smoked this brand of cigarettes, and we found that brand of cigarettes at the location where the kids died. So it must have been you. So we're going to lock you up. And that's what they did. But that's the only evidence that they have. And it's not really evidence that
no.
points to him being the murderer.
A pack of
But
cigarettes is not it.
yeah, that's terrible, but unfortunately, stuff like that does happen, right? And it did
Yeah.
happen at that time.
At that time.
Racism was racism was a major force in a lot of really wrong court decisions that were made in
Yeah.
the '60s. Um, he gets locked up. The chief of police says, "This is why we have you locked up because of the pack of cigarettes. So you're going to stay here, and we're going to transfer you to Shawshank, which is the prison in all of Stephen King's novels. We're going to send you there in the next few days." Leroy Hanlon, who is the major who was flown in to be on the special project, the guy without fear, his wife moved there with him, with their son. And their son is now also part of the group that is kind of wise to what Pennywise is doing right now. But the mother is also a civil rights activist, and she knows that the guy that they have locked up did not do the murders. And so
Yeah.
she is again doing what she was doing in the South, which is being a civil rights activist and acting as someone who's trying to save this guy from getting put in the electric chair. So that's a whole nother story we have going on at this time too.
Yeah, yeah.
So all the kids that are at the school after the incident with Marge, they all kind of get together and they're like, okay, so we know that this thing lives in the sewers. So we need to plan on going down there and killing this thing. This is very brave for kids to do, Mike. This is kind of the same thing that they did in It. But these kids, this bothers me because these kids go from this thing is really scary and it just did this to Marge
Yeah.
to maybe we need to go down there and kill it, right? But
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So as they're discussing this, they go up to the lookout place where Maddie used to hang out, right? Maddie again is the kid that went missing in the first episode.
Yeah.
When they get up there, they're all talking and they realize that there's somebody in a tent up there at that location. And I love this part. Maddie then comes out of the tent and he's got longer hair because he's been in hiding. He's very dirty. And they're like, "Oh my God, Maddie, you're alive." He's like, "Yeah, I've been hiding out here and around town, since that incident." No, that's not what he says. He said, "The creature took me down into the sewers." This is
Yeah.
where they find out where the thing lives. He says, "The creature took me down into the sewers, and I've been there and I've watched him eat other kids, and he was keeping me alive. I don't know why, but when it was sleeping, I got away." And so all the kids are like, "Holy shit, okay, cool. So what do we do now?" Maddie says, well, it lives in the sewers and I know when it sleeps. So if we go down there at that time when it's sleeping, we can kill it. And so all the other kids are on board with this, right? At the same time, we get the story back on base with Dick Hanlon, and they've captured one of the Native American guys from the local tribe, right? And to give background to this tribe back in the past were the first tribe to encounter Pennywise. And we
Yeah.
get a whole backstory there, right? Backstory is they knew that this thing crash landed because they all saw it as a meteor
Yeah.
that crashed. The early tribes people went into the woods to try to figure out what it was. They realized that it was an evil spirit, which is what they call it, right? And they
Yeah.
gave it a name, although I can't remember the name that they gave it. It's some Native American name that just means a feeding force, basically. You see the different forms of Pennywise then, right? So he comes to them in the form of a deer with red eyes that eats human beings. He comes to them in the form of a different, like all these different creatures. It's mostly creatures
Yeah. Yep.
until the Native Americans figured out, okay, as long as we don't go in this part of the woods, this thing can't attack us because it's not strong enough to leave this area, or they know that it won't leave that area of the woods.
Yeah.
So they stay clear of that area. Now, this is around about the time that the Europeans started showing up in America and taking over Native American land. And these Native Americans tried to explain to the Europeans that they should not go into this part of the woods because there is something evil in there. But as is the history of anyone who's ever moved to another country and decided to start taking shit over, they don't listen to the natives. And of course, they go into that area of the forest and immediately start getting knocked off, right?
Yeah. They immediately get insulted. Yeah.
Yeah, they get slaughtered one by one. As they're being eaten, and we get kind of the idea that this goes on for a long time. Like this is not something that just happens like this. As they get attacked and as the entity eats them, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and to the point that it gets just about strong enough to be able to leave the woods. Now, it starts attacking other Native Americans in different areas where the creature normally was not. Like it
Yeah.
was stuck in one part of the woods and not able to go any further. But now it's going further and attacking them. And it takes the mother of one of the kids that are back at the Native American camp, kills her, and the daughter. I can't remember exactly how it happens, but somehow they figure out that the knife or the ship is something that can hurt it.
Yeah. I don't fully remember how they figured it out.
I know that one of the war chief of the tribe
Yeah.
went down to the area where the craft was that it showed up in
Yeah.
and cut off a piece of the ship, but there was no reason why he would have done that. You know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
mean, I don't remember how. Somehow, apparently, it comes out in this part where you're explaining clear that the Native Americans figured out that the material
Yeah.
from whatever this thing arrived here on, it was vulnerable to it. Uh,
Yeah.
so when the Europeans came and Pennywise started feeding on him, he started to get powerful and more powerful. And then they noticed that he's powerful enough to leave the woods. They broke down pieces of Pennywise's original pod and then set them up in a circle on some current ritual, buried them deep into the ground at certain locations to prevent Pennywise from being able to leave the certain area. This area the Indians did this with was stretched over certain miles, basically creating this cage so that Pennywise was not able of leaving this area. And
Right.
throughout the century, eventually Derry was built in this area.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think it's 13 shards, right? 13? I want to
Maybe.
say the number was 13. But yeah, so they had to break off pieces of the ship and bury them in a big circle around the woods, and that's what created the town of Derry. Derry was then built on top of that area, and that explains why all this time Pennywise only attacks in Derry, and it's because he can't leave Derry, which is really smart. I like that. That was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
However, like we said, I cannot figure out how they realized that that was going to work. And I think I remember watching the series thinking, that's a lot of stuff for them to know without really knowing it. But
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, this is the thing I can bring back to the turtle. Native Americans are spiritual and whatever, and who knows? They smoke a lot of weed. So,
And do a lot of
uh,
peyote, right?
yeah. So if you have like this shaman, or the medicine woman, man,
It's
women of
common,
their
yeah.
tribe, I probably guess it could have been the influence of the turtle.
Yeah.
One of them probably got some visions about, hey, this thing can kill it or whatever. And probably it was the turtle just signalized to them, hey, dumbass, I sent this kryptonite with this entity onto your planet. It can kill it. Use the fucking kryptonite, dumbass. I mean, I guess probably the turtle was probably whispering shit like that to them in their dreams. That's
I'm
how.
guessing because there
Yeah.
there was not a point when I was watching this where the indication was given at all that this thing was scared of its own ship. So what I'm getting here, Welcome to Derry plays that detail like you're supposed to already feel the answer,
Yeah.
but they don't really give the answer away. So
Yeah.
somehow it's kind of like somehow Palpatine returned, right? Somehow they found out that the ship is something that it's scared of.
Yeah. But if you understand Stephen King lore, specifically all of the entities, it's clear that I mean, throughout the entire It franchise, all movies, all series, you always have the feeling that there are forces working against Pennywise,
Yeah.
and that's how I would that.
Okay.
uh,
So yeah. So it doesn't really matter. They figured out that the ship that it landed in, if they took pieces of it and set it around the forest, that it was going to fence the entity in, and it worked, right?
Yeah.
And so once that worked and they realized it worked, they set up kind of a secret society within the tribe that knew what was going on. And their job was to hand that knowledge to the next generation and say, hey, here's what's being done to keep that entity within the woods. You have to keep that knowledge to yourself. And with that knowledge, keep people away from it. Because if people go to where it is, it's going to eat them and it's going to get more powerful. And then eventually it's going to get out. Right. They also did not want anybody like the military to show up, figure it out, and then try to remove the pieces of the ship
Yeah.
because that was immediately going to let him out. Right.
Yeah.
Now, this is a classic case of the military showing up and not talking to any of the civilian population about how things work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the military showed up after the second incident. So there were two incidents that we know about in the cycle of Pennywise that happened before.
Yeah.
One of
There
them was
there were
the
probably instances before that, but
oh yeah,
no.
I mean this city is old, so it's been happening every 27 years, right? 27
Yeah.
years,
Yeah. Yeah.
every 27 years. The only two that were treated to in the series were the fire that happens at the factory, and then a massacre in the street because of
Yeah.
bank robbers, right? And the entity was present during those two times. Military knows that, and because of the psychic that they have with them, Dick Hanlon, they now know that these pieces of the shards that are in the ground keep this thing trapped. And they know that because they took one member of the tribe who was aware of the secret,
Yeah.
brought him in, and Dick Hanlon entered his mind. And this scene is pretty cool too. Like he sits in a chair across from him. He says, hey, look, it would really help me out if you just told me
Mhm.
how this all works, because if you tell me, I don't have to hurt you, and I don't want to hurt you. The Native American guy's like, nope, I'm not telling you shit. And so Hanlon enters his mind, goes back in time to a memory that he had when his mother told him the story of what happened and everything that he needs to do with the future generation to ensure that this entity stays in the woods. And when he reached that part of his mind, he got all the information he needed and then got back out of his mind, almost killing this guy. Right. So whatever this ability is that Hanlon has, it's pretty dangerous if he has to step inside somebody's mind. And he's really good at it too. And we see that later because he also does it to Pennywise, right? And quite honestly, that scene is like the best scene in this
Yeah.
entire series. I love that scene. Anyway, so now the military knows about these shards. They kind of sort of know where they're located. They also know that the tribe kept one piece for themselves as a kind of a dagger, right?
Yeah.
Because this dagger can actually hurt Pennywise. We don't really know how or what happens if he gets hit with this dagger, and I don't think we ever see that either. All we know is that he's petrified of it, right?
Yeah. But this
And
is
so
I think this is specifically the scene where they go down
yeah,
to Pennywise
that's what
because
I'm getting to. Yeah.
yeah, that's where you're getting to. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So what happens now is you have the two sides of the story. You have the high schoolers that are wise to Pennywise, and now they think they also have Maddie, who's been down in the sewer and knows where the entity is, and they're planning on going and killing this thing. At the same time, the military knows where the shards are, and they're going to go down there and try to bring the shards back and try to
Well,
trap the entity. So you have two teams going in. You've got Maddie and the rest of the kids going in one side of the sewer, and you've got the military going in the other side.
mhm,
Now, when the military goes in, they go down, they start to hear voices, strange things start happening, and Pennywise attacks. He attacks he attacks in the form of Uncle Sam, which I think is hilarious.
yeah. He attacks the soldiers,
Yeah.
but not the kids. He attacks the
No,
kids at
no, that's what I'm saying. This is the military group going in.
yeah,
So he attacks the soldiers in the form of kind of like a zombie version of Uncle Sam that kills most of them.
yeah,
And at the same time, he also takes Hanlon's character, the psychic, and
uh-huh,
jumps in his mind, right? And so when he jumps in Hanlon's mind, you get a scene of him and his mother and his grandfather, whose grandfather was abusive. And Hanlon has always had this ability to see and communicate with people that are no longer alive, right? And so this tortured him when he was a kid. His mom also had a little bit of what he has, like the psychic ability. And she taught him to take that part of his mind that can communicate with dead people and communicate with spirits, lock it away in a box, and compartmentalize it somewhere in his mind where it can't affect him. So that's what he did, right? What Pennywise did was Pennywise is able to see in there too and can tell that he's done that. So what he Pennywise did was get back in Hanlon's mind as his grandfather, come back, open the box back in his mind. So now
yeah.
Hanlon has to deal with all these dead people again. There's a whole lot of like mental trickery that goes on here, but
Mhm.
for them to pull this off in a series as well as they did and make it understandable is really well
Yeah,
done. So they're all attacked by Pennywise. Hanlon goes missing in the middle of this. The father that showed up, the pilot, and his best friend are down there too. They both get attacked. And as they're getting attacked, we see what's happening with the kids. Pennywise can be in more than one place at one time. He's attacking the kids, but we don't see that yet. The kids go down. They're with Maddie. Maddie says, okay, here's where the creature normally hangs out. And right when you think that they're in the right spot, Maddie starts to change. He starts to
yeah,
transform into Pennywise, which is fucking brilliant because that
yeah.
means Pennywise was with them the whole fucking time as Maddie. That's the that's the part that got
Okay.
me, man.
That was a cool scene. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That was a fantastic scene. And they had me going too, because normally I can see these things coming. Did you feel in any way that that's what was going on before it happened?
I wasn't sure. I thought it was odd that Maddie made it out because nobody has ever so far made it out of Pennywise's grasp. So I did not think it was Pennywise himself, but I do think Maddie was a trap. He was. I just thought that Pennywise was using Maddie as bait.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I thought it was odd too, but then again, it was done so well and so believably. I was like, no, I mean, maybe the kid did escape. Okay. But then when you get this scene, he transforms and the transformation sequence is great too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's he's got his hand on a pole in the sewer and he's kind of spinning around this pole on his hand. And every time he comes back around, his face is different and then different again. And then the last time he's fully Pennywise. And
yeah,
it's fucking cool. It's just a great
yeah,
introduction to the clown again, you know? And for me, unlike the reboot of it, this clown is actually scary. And I
yeah.
don't know what they did different. I don't know if it's his mannerisms or the way that he acts. Doesn't look like they did anything different with the makeup, but he's actually fucking creepy here. And I love it. So Pennywise starts to attack the kids as well. As far as I remember, everyone gets away. like they are able to get away. He only goes after one of them, right? And it's Lily's character.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we get in between all these scenes is that the Native American guy that went down into the sewers with them to show them where Pennywise was had the dagger with him.
And lost it.
And when Pennywise attacked him, or I think so, no, they were running through the sewer and he dropped the dagger into the water. And these these daggers and these shards light up a little bit when Pennywise is around, which is
Yeah.
interesting. But he drops it in the water, and then that's the last we see of him because I believe he gets eaten by Pennywise, even though we don't see it.
The Native American, no, not until a long time after that.
Ah, that's later. Yeah, you're right. So when Pennywise goes chasing after Lily, Lily runs back down into the sewer system and ends up in the exact same spot where the Native American guy dropped the dagger into the water.
Yeah.
And this is also probably one of the coolest scenes in the series.
Yeah.
Because this is the only time that I have ever seen Pennywise scared. Like scared shitless.
Yeah. You
'Cause
see, like he
yeah.
he comes running up with super speed with these extreme elongated teeth he has also in the movies.
Yes.
And and Lily is totally fucking terrified, like, oh, I'm going to die now. And then Pennywise just stops.
Yeah.
He stops.
Right in front of her with
No?
all of his teeth out in the same pose. Yeah.
Yeah. And is like, what? And then looks down at the dagger, and then you see the dagger light up. I think Lily notices this and instantly just picks it up and holds it towards him, and then he disappears in the thin air.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
And it's
He
like,
just backs
okay,
up really slowly.
yeah, yeah,
It's a fucking
Bruh.
cool scene, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking cool scene. So at this point, the group of kids now know that this dagger is a weakness for this monster, right? So she holds on to it, and she also gets a little bit fanatic about it. And Mike, I feel like this whole fanaticism for keeping control of this dagger was taken directly from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen till later. Yeah.
I
I
know.
mean, this dagger later on becomes the ring of power,
Mhm.
and yeah, she starts to go crazy over it later on. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
this. I also think this was taken straightly from Lord of the Rings.
yeah. It has to be because it's exactly that same kind of thing. Like whoever has control of the dagger starts to go a little mad, and they want to protect it. Yeah, it's Lord of the Rings all over again. So these kids make it out of the sewer alive. I don't think any of them die.
Yeah. Not yet.
Not yet. The only two people from the group in the military that went down there that were alive were the major that showed up and his best friend. He
Yeah.
accidentally ends up shooting his best friend because he meets up with the kids in the sewer, and when he
Yeah.
sees the kids, he thinks it's Pennywise fucking with him. So he's about to shoot the kids, and his friend jumps in front of the gun and gets shot. So now he's dead. Right? They all leave the sewers together and they head back to the military base. A little bit later, we see Hannelin's character coming out of the sewer, right? And he's by himself. And he's a little bit stunned and shook up. And we realize why, because now he's able to see and communicate with dead people again because Pennywise unlocked that box in his mind. So now he's starting to go a little crazy, right? The next big scene we get is this is something that happened earlier, but we hadn't mentioned it yet. These on the military base, there's a group of friends that Hanlon has. They're all black service members. And at this time, like we said, racism is really kind of a big thing. So service members were not immune to that. There was a lot of racism within the military. These guys are being mistreated. They're not getting the same privileges as everybody else. Every time they go to a bar in the town, the white people run them out of the bars. So what they did was they asked the general if the general had another place that they could set up as a place for them to hang out where nobody would mess with them. And the general, because he needs Hannelin's character to keep searching for Pennywise. Hannelin asks him, "Hey, can you give us a place that we can go hang out where nobody can bother us?" General says, "Sure." There's a place kind of on the edge of the base that has been decommissioned. It's not being used anymore. You guys can have it. So go do whatever you want to do with that place. So they go into this place. It's in the woods. It's like an old military facility, cabin kind of thing. And they take everything out of it. And they build kind of a really cool bar, dude. Like
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
this is a place I wouldn't mind playing with our band. This would be a really cool place to play.
Yeah.
And so they set this up in the woods. It's actually a pretty happening bar too. Like they start inviting people out and people from the city start showing up, mostly black people because the whole reason they got it was so that they could get away from everybody that was mistreating them. They start
Yeah.
setting it up and they have parties there and so on and so forth. Um, During this time, the guy that we were talking about earlier, whose name is Hank, the one that they want to blame all the murders on,
Yeah.
has escaped from the prison and gotten away before they could send him away to Shawshank. If I'm right, I don't think they sent him to Shawshank, did they?
No, no, I'm not entirely sure how he got out, but he somehow escaped from prison
Mhm.
and is in hiding. Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's also specifically, it also goes into why he never said why he was out when he wasn't. The
yeah,
fact is, he was having an affair with a white married woman.
right.
It in itself would have got him hanged at the
Yeah,
time. Uh, so the thing is, one way or another, hang. If he says the truth, he's fucked. If he doesn't say the truth, he's fucked. So it's just to show how the entire storyline with Hank just shows how bad it was for
yeah,
people of color during this time. Yeah, it's. I mean, it is also pretty hard to watch. Because they literally just got this guy because they're racist asshole. That's why he got blamed for it.
but this is the thing, though, when people talk about how bad this stuff was, and I may be going off on kind of
And
into the weeds a little bit. When black people nowadays, especially in the South, talk about how bad this stuff was, they weren't kidding. This isn't like
and
ancient history, this is recent.
yeah,
Like, all this stuff, it's still happening now, but it was really bad not even 3 decades ago. And so this kind of shows you the last time when it was really bad. And, all black people just felt like aliens in their own country for the longest time, you know?
yeah,
It is sad and it's hard to watch, but I mean, stuff like this happened all the time. So it's not going out on a limb trying to make a story that seems unreasonable or untrue. Like stuff happened. Um, so the other thing that we haven't mentioned is that there's a little bit of a backstory on Pennywise here. The woman that Hank was having an affair with, the white woman, which is the reason he's in jail, is the daughter of the man that Pennywise took over.
the
So
original Penny.
the
The
original Pennywise.
what? Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
this is something I love this because we're
yeah.
finally getting it explained to us, right? And this is probably my favorite part of the whole series because I wanted
Mhm.
to know this.
Sure,
Everybody
yes,
wanted to know this.
yeah.
So this woman that he was having an affair with is an older woman now. She's probably in her mid 40s, right? But it
Mhm.
flashes back to her time as a child. And when she was a child, she was in the circus as a clown named Periwinkle, who was the daughter of the original Pennywise the clown, who was a normal man and for the most part seemed like a pretty good dude, other than being
Yeah,
an alcoholic.
that was also just made the entire thing kind of more tragic, more worse because the original Pennywise, I don't remember his name, just like you said, he seemed to be a pretty cool guy. He was an
His name
actor
was
that was
Bob.
once Bob, yeah. He was this clown theater actor that was once super successful with his
Yeah.
Pennywise thing, but somehow it didn't work out for him, and now he's now for this traveling circus.
Well,
Nah,
he had a daughter,
yeah,
so he
yeah,
was very successful with the circus,
yeah,
but when he had the daughter, I think he says the mother died in childbirth, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so because he had a daughter, he left the circus and started traveling with a carnival because it was easier for him to be a dad, right?
Yeah, exactly. But however, I couldn't remember that part, but it makes it such so more sad because he's not really fully happy with what he's doing, but this way he can still be there for his daughter, and you can see he was the type of guy that just liked to bring joy to kids and loved what he was doing. And when he saw his daughter the first time dressing up as Periwinkle, doing her own makeup, you could literally see how he was just totally happy that his daughter liked doing this. "Show me the bow," he says to her, whatever. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, he already made up in his mind, fantasizing, "Oh, no, he can." go back to doing the same thing he used to do with his little girl, with his daughter, whatever. He was super happy about it until
Yeah.
a very short moment when he actually said Pennywise and Periwinkle. And then that kind of hit the daughter because the daughter was like, "Yeah, but that was mom's stage name." And then of course this was like kind of you can see it brought up memories to him about the mother again or whatever. And you're like, "Yeah, you can change the name if you want to. Not a big deal." But he was getting very what is it called? Euphorisch? No?
Euphoric, yeah.
He was very euphoric about, "Oh, great, my daughter likes this too, she wants to, get in this too." He was just generally
Yeah.
happy about it. What was makes it also, more
Tragic.
sad just to see that this apparently was a very great guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He was a good guy. We kinda get a scene where he's performing for the kids too, so you
yeah,
get an idea of his performance style. Like you said, he was very happy about making kids happy. He enjoyed it, right?
yeah.
Um, and then we also see that he has a little bit of a drinking problem, kinda like I mentioned, because the curtains go down for a minute and then they come back up and he's, like, drinking and he tries to hide the bottle so the audience doesn't see it. And then we get another scene where he's about to go on stage and it's later at night. And this is obviously when the carnival had stopped in Derry, right?
Yeah.
So the carnival's in Derry. He's about to go on stage and he's back behind the tents drinking and he's got his makeup on,
Yeah.
but he's not wearing his wig. And he's drinking and a kid comes out of the woods. This kid is creepy as fuck, Mike. And I don't, don't think, I don't think if I was him, I would have talked to this kid. This kid looks fucked up. But
Yeah.
the kid comes out of the woods, and it's a kid probably no older than Periwinkle is, right?
Yeah.
Comes out of the woods, and he looks at Bob, who's wearing the makeup, and he says, "The kids really seem to be attracted to you." And Bob says, "Well, that's a really funny thing for a kid your age to say, but okay, thank you." And then right?
Yeah.
And then we hear a woman screaming back in the woods. And Bob's like, "What's that?" And the kid goes, "Oh, that's my mother. She's in trouble and I need help. Can you come help my mother?" Bob says, "Can't you see I'm busy? I'm about to go on stage. I can't help you right now." The woman in the background starts screaming more, and it sounds more desperate. And so Bob, being a decent person, decides to go help the kid. And we
Yeah.
see him walk away into the woods with the kid. And that is the last time we see Bob.
'Cause of course, at this point, it's obvious that the kid is Penny.
Mm.
And, I mean, Pennywise is just flat out later on gonna admit what he did to
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
funny, but, yeah, then it cuts back to Periwinkle, looking for her dad because the show is gonna start or whatever,
Yeah.
until it comes back to everybody, backstage, holding his costume, I guess, and it's full of blood.
I think it's a
Like
handkerchief. They find his
yeah,
handkerchief in the woods.
yeah, yeah, and,
They think
this
it's
is the po
wolves.
yeah, they assume it was wolves that got him, whatever. The only thing they could find were these bloody clothes of him, and yeah, pretty bad. It is tough to watch just
It's tough to
because
watch.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's cool that we finally got the story because I think had they not put this in there, this would have been one of the things that everybody would have been upset about.
yeah, yeah,
Because we never know, even in the books, we never know why Pennywise chose a clown. And we never know why he chose the name Pennywise. None of this stuff. And so now it's finally explained,
yeah,
right? Now, once he went missing, his daughter Periwinkle stayed in the town. She stayed
yeah,
in Derry because she thought he went missing here, so he must still be here. So she stayed in the town and she became a woman who worked at the mental institution
yeah,
that Lily went to. Now, Lily befriended her when Lily was in the mental institution, and this woman seemed to take extra interest in her because she started telling stories about things that she saw that
yeah,
Periwinkle kind of thought sounded like it might be her dad, right?
yeah,
And that's why this woman had taken a special interest in her. Now we get a scene where Lily comes back to meet her again at her own house because
yeah,
they've remained friends, even though Lily is not in the mental institution anymore. She goes to the woman's house. She's not there. but she goes upstairs in the woman's attic. And this is after she's already seen Pennywise and what he actually looks like. She notices that there's pictures of clowns around the woman's apartment in the attic, and one of them is a picture of Pennywise. So immediately she's freaked out by this. Uh, and as she's about to turn and leave in horror, Periwinkle comes up the stairs and stops her and says, "Hey, it's okay. That's my father. There's no reason to be scared. He's a good person and he's still here. And that's the reason I'm here." Of course, Lily is freaked out, but doesn't really know what to say to this. And this is where we get the backstory from
Harry.
Periwinkle about what's happened since her father went missing. And we get a cool scene to where it shows her back in the 50s in the
Yeah.
mental institution where she has to take care of troubled children. And there's a little girl that's been explaining to her that she saw a clown down in the basement of the mental institution. And so immediately, this woman thinks that it's her dad. So she tells the child, "Please take me to where the clown said that he was going to meet you," which is in the basement. They go down into the basement together. And of course, Pennywise appears and eats the little girl in front of her, basically. This, of course, freaks her out. Periwinkle is completely freaked out, but she also thinks, wait a minute, maybe my father's sick. I miss him so much. I want to see him again. And Pennywise kind of changes the way he looks really quick because he realizes who Periwinkle is, changes himself back into Bob really quick and is like, "Oh, okay, dear, it's me. Everything's fine. You can see me again if you bring me more children," basically, is what, without saying so much, this is the idea that she gets.
Yeah.
So the rest of the time that she's working, this is what she's done. And she's no telling how many times she's done this, but she's brought children to Pennywise to eat for probably a good, at least during that cycle, right? Because this was the last cycle.
Also, I would say later on because Periwinkle does not realize actually what's happening here because
Yeah,
she truly thinks that Pennywise is her father and that he
right.
comes back every few years. And you also mentioned this to Lily before she leaves that there's always this darkness upon my father, and he keeps on reappearing, but then he's gone again. This is also Pennywise messing with her head
Yeah,
because Pennywise knew who Periwinkle was because of the original Pennywise, no, and that's why he's just using her. And she's clearly and she's mentally unstable, but she can hide
yeah,
to the outside world.
yeah,
And she doesn't really talk to much people about it. She just knows that she believes that it is her father, Pennywise, and not
yeah,
the evil entity that just has chosen to take Pennywise person. Yeah.
yeah. And I think this is also where we're going to get a backstory in the next season because it's kind of hinted here in the next scene that she's the reason that these massacres and these bad, horrible things happen at the end of Pennywise's cycle, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she sets it up.
Yeah, she sets everything up. And the reason we know this is this place that's in the woods that these black service members were given to party at. They have a big party one night and everybody's invited, including the kids, right? And Hank is there, who is the prisoner who escaped. They're hiding him out at this place, right?
Yeah.
So there's a party going on. Everybody's there, including the new Losers Club. Um, they're all hanging out, and all of a sudden, masked men show up, and all these masked men are white, right?
Yeah.
It's all these white men in masks, and they walk up to the door and walk in while everybody's partying, and they say, "Hey, we know that you're harboring a criminal here. If you give him up to us right now, we'll leave, and then nobody gets hurt," right? Of course, none of these people want to give up Hank because they know what's going to happen to him and they don't want to do that. So they decide to take a stand and they say, "No, you guys leave or we're going to shoot you," because everybody in that building also had a gun. So there's a little bit of a standoff between the black people and these masked men that are there to take Hank back. The guys in the mask realize that this is kind of a losing battle. If they have to go head to head with these people, they're going to get killed. So they say, "Okay, we're leaving." They leave out of the cabin, and then they lock the doors of the cabin, set the place on fire, and start shooting inside, right? as they're shooting inside, they kill almost everybody. By the way, Hanlon is in there too, the psychic guy. He's inside as well. Everybody's dying during all the chaos and people being shot and this building being on fire. Pennywise shows up inside the fire. It's pretty fucking crazy. Like everybody's dying, everything's on fire, and the entity shows up just to eat people inside of this building that's on fire because everybody's scared to death. Right?
Yeah.
And I also have a little bit of a problem with the scene because Richie, the other kid that we've seen that's been really friendly with Marjorie, he
Yeah.
takes Marjorie and puts her in a box, right?
And there's
So
a
that
fridge.
it's a fridge. Okay, he puts her in a fridge and then stays on top of the fridge so that nobody can open it and continues to talk to her while she's inside the fridge until he dies of smoke inhalation. Now, Mike, there's so much fucking smoke in this place and so much fire, this kid would have been dead within 2 minutes. But this scene seems like it lasts for 20.
Yeah, but that's supposed to be the point. It drags it out.
Yeah.
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 I mean, real time, it was probably only about 2 minutes. But it also kind of sucks because the psychic, he manages to find a way out, and he manages to get a few people out,
Yeah.
and he also walks up and wants to get Richie and March until a part of the wall collapses and he can't get to them anymore. What is like,
Right.
it really sucks. I mean,
Yeah.
this scene is very, very bad.
It's hard. Yeah,
It's hard.
this is
It's
a
hard.
hard
It's
scene to
really hard.
watch.
And specifically because you see like multiple of the people making it out of the barn and then they're just shooting them. And this is
They're
also
gunned
something I'm
down, yeah.
like, this is like, I mean, I know it was pretty bad back in the day and there were unfortunately, a lot of black people that were slaughtered this way. And it's just mind blowing to me how these people, I don't know, it just makes me feel all the majority of characters, at least from Derry, at this point, are just fucking pieces of shit. I mean, to a certain degree, I understand the thing with Hank because a lot of the people in this group really believe Hank killed
Yeah.
these kids. Specifically, one of them is the father of the kids that got killed.
Right.
So even though the guy is racist as well, I can understand the way he's acting because he truly believes that this guy killed my kid. But everybody else is like, these are innocent people.
Yeah.
They're really they're innocent people that were just having a party, and this scene really did bother me, Matt, dude.
But yeah, it's a
I
tough
know.
scene to watch, man.
It is, man. Yeah.
I mean, I
Very
hate to say it.
uncomfortable.
I hate to say it though, man. Truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
There is
You know.
tons of incidences like this that happened all the time.
Unfortunately, I know. Yeah.
Even in even in my own city of Mobile, there were, bars that were burned down with people inside of them because it was a black club, you know? That stuff happened all the time. This is just kind of a true depiction of how things went down back then. You have to like be,
Yeah.
you know, somewhat positive about the fact that things have gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
We're not quite there yet, but
Mhm.
I mean, at least things like this aren't happening, in mass,
As it was back in the
quantities and
day.
being covered up. But yeah, it is a very difficult scene to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this whole series is difficult to watch.
Yes, yes, that's true.
Well, I will
That
say
is
that. I don't know what I expected. I expected the series to be not as good as the movies, but in my opinion, this series did better than
it
It
is.
1 and It
It
2. So much better than
it
the movies.
surpasses the movies. Yeah,
Yes, by far.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I digress. Everyone dies in the fire except for the kids and Hank and Marjorie, even though Marjorie was still in the building, right? At this point, she's in the fridge in the building. Richie has died on top of the fridge that she's in, and outside, all of the white people that just burned this place to the ground and killed everybody trying to escape are getting in their cars and getting away, right? The one guy who can't get away is the husband of Periwinkle, which I can't remember his name. Doesn't matter. Guy's an
Doesn't
asshole.
matter.
He can't get his car to start and he is stuck outside. So he knows if he doesn't get his car out of there, that when the police show up, he's going to get blamed for all this. Right. So he's freaking out, trying to call to everybody else who's leaving. Nobody's paying any attention to him. So he's stuck there. He turns around while he's trying to get his car started and notices that Periwinkle is standing there in her clown outfit outside of the fire. And this is his wife. He's like, "What the hell are you doing here? What the fuck?" She doesn't say anything to him. He's like, "If you don't tell me why you're here and what's going on, I'm going to beat the hell out of you." Right. We already know this guy's abusive.
Yeah.
We see Periwinkle's face, and her face goes from a little bit scared to extremely happy, and we don't know why. We turn around and we see what she's seeing right behind her husband. Pennywise is walking up behind him. And Pennywise has a big fucking meat cleaver hanging over his shoulder, right? Fucking love this scene. He shows up with this meat cleaver. Her husband turns around and he cuts his head in half, like right where his mouth is. Bah! Bottom part of the body falls, and he takes the head while he's looking at Periwinkle and starts eating the guy's head, right? Periwinkle's like, "Dad, I can't believe you showed up, but I'm so happy you showed up. I did this for you," right? And Pennywise isn't saying anything because he's still eating this head, right? And she's like, "I did this for you just like I did the last few things that happened where you showed up, because I knew you would show up if there was fear here. So I led these men here so that there would be fear here and there would be a big incident and you would show up, and it worked, and I'm so happy it worked." Pennywise realizes again who she is and starts acting like her dad. He drops the
Yeah.
head and he walks up to her and says, "Show me the bow," right?
Yeah.
Same thing he did when he met her earlier. She does the bow for him. He gives her a big hug. She says, "Daddy, I love you. Please stay this time," you know. And he says, I'm not going to stay here. It's time for me to go to sleep."
No, he says he hugs her, says, "You did well. You
Oh,
did
that's
very
right.
well.
Yeah.
But now it's time for me to go to sleep." This is the brilliant scene. This is the I mean, one of the most iconic scenes of the entire series, I would say. She grabs him by the hand and says, "Stop. You can't go." And this is like big no-no. You can already see it in Pennywise's face.
Don't touch Pennywise. Yeah.
And don't touch him. Don't tell him he can't do anything.
Right.
He instantly looks over his shoulder, looks at her with a mean look on his eye, and you know she's not going to make it out of here alive at this
Yeah.
point, because she's pissed him off. And this is also the scene where she realizes that it's not her father,
Right. Yeah.
and she's like, "You're not my father. You never were him." And she realizes this now. Huh?
Yes.
And it's also and Pennywise goes from pissed off to absolutely amused and starts doing this really creepy laugh or whatever. And then she says, "What did you do with my father?" And then he's looks like confused. So, oh, I ate him," and starts laughing.
Yeah. Says, "I ate him. He's in here with us right now." Like, he says something like that. He's like, "He's in here with me right now, and he'll be here forever." Right.
Yeah.
And then we get him using the deadlights on her, which
Yeah.
I can't figure out exactly why he chooses to use the deadlights sometimes and why he chooses to eat. I think the
Yeah.
deadlights are something he saves them for later. Maybe it's kind of like
Yeah.
putting them in a form of stasis. Maybe.
Who knows? I mean, it's the deadlights are technically his true form.
Right.
That's what I know. No,
Yeah.
I do not know actually why he does it. I mean, it instantly paralyzes everybody. So
Yep.
that's like he just shows him his true form. You're fucked, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Why he only does it in certain instances, I don't know. It's because I do think why he does this with her instead of just flat out killing her, is because she has been useful to him in the past. And she's a tool to him more or less. And this way he can at least still manipulate her and use her whenever it needs her.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it decided to use the deadlights on.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems strange to me because everyone else he's just killed or eaten, but he chooses to use deadlights on her. And we see him use the deadlights again later, but we actually see the purpose of it. You know what I mean? Um Now, right after this happens and he uses the deadlights on her, the military is to the point to where they know where at least a few of the shards are, right?
Yeah.
And they go in and they remove one of the shards from the ground, effectively destroying the cage that Pennywise would have been trapped in.
But they don't know that yet.
They don't
Huh?
know that. They just
Well,
want
they don't.
to. Well, I think they do, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do because this was the plan. This is where also the major comes in
Mhm.
because the general told him this plan, what it was with this thing, whatever. The major believed at this point, the point of finding the shards was to decrease its cage.
To shrink
What
the cage is what he told him.
Yeah, what is a brilliant idea, by the
Yeah.
way. What would have easily been done if the general would have maybe been more transparent with the Native Americans, say he wants to decrease it to a very small amount.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
but
that
this was
didn't
not.
make much sense to me. If he had told them that from the beginning,
Yeah,
then they would
but
have probably helped him, right?
yeah, but that's not really what he wanted to do. That comes out
Mhm.
later on because they managed
Comes out now.
with the psychic figure out where one of the parts of the pillar is. Dig it up and then and start to take it away. Then the one other, I think, colonel, the major is like, yeah, but why are we taking it away? And whatever he says, the colonel says, yeah, you say it's gone now. It's going to be asleep for another 27 years. We have more than enough time to study this thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Then it takes off with the shard, and the major's instantly suspicious
Yeah.
about this. It cuts back to the base, where they're experimenting with this shard and whatever. With gonna throw it into a fire to melt it down.
Right.
Huh? And this is where the
Effectively,
major
they
comes.
wanna destroy it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to destroy it. This is where the major comes in, points a gun at everybody, says stop, stop this immediately until it actually happened. So they stop because he's pointing the gun at, and the others pull out a gun. So you have sort of a standoff. Until the general says, "Put your guns down," nah, and Major come up here. And this is where the general dumbass reveals his actual plan. They have a short discussion between Major and General Dumbass, and this is also going to come out why I'm calling him General Dumbass.
And
And this
Mike,
is also
before you go into that, I wanna
yeah,
say right here and right now, this plan is the
yeah,
stupidest fucking plan that anyone has ever come up with in any movie or series that I've ever seen.
absolutely,
This makes no sense at all, and this is my
yeah,
major problem with the series. It's probably my only problem with the series.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's because the guy's a complete fucking idiot, and I would say to a degree, Uh, he's an extremist in my opinion.
Yes,
Nah,
yes, yes.
and he's an extremist, and he believes what he's doing is the right thing. But this leads also back to the thing he wants to prevent all of this tragedy from happening. And by the way, this is also where it comes. It also came clear that this general was friends with the Native Americans when he was a kid.
Yeah,
This is also the reason why he is so sympathetic towards marginalized groups because he grew up being a friend to a lot of these groups.
right, right,
So this also leads he also came in contact with Pennywise also during this time. So he knew what Pennywise was.
right,
So you believe that he wanted to try to stop it. But what also this general always saw is that this Pennywise causing all of this fear, but there was no chaos afterwards.
right,
Everybody was calm and everybody went off their lives or whatever and blah blah. No, but
right,
this is also the thing he also did not understand what Pennywise was. He thought he understood. And this is where in the discussion between Major and the general comes out that he wants his plan was never actually to decrease Pennywise's cage. He wants to let Pennywise.
right,
He wants to open the cage and let Pennywise rampage the world because he believes that every 27 years you're going to have a little bit of collateral damage, the few people that Pennywise eats, and beyond that, the rest of the time you're going to have world peace. And well, technically, the point is how long would that work? Because you can't understand Pennywise. That's
Right.
something the Native American know. Native Americans know it's evil.
Yeah.
It's an evil fucking god that literally refers to itself in
As
certain
God.
situations as a world eater.
Yes.
No, I mean later on it comes off where he says, "I'm a god. I'm eater of worlds," and blah blah.
Yeah.
I mean, even seeing that monster, what it can do, how it can warp reality, how it can totally control the minds of people. You have to be insanely fucking stupid or ideologically blinded to want to let that creature out
Yeah.
and think anything good is going to come out of it.
That's why this made no sense to me. I
No.
felt like he had seen enough of what Pennywise could do. He's read all the reports, and yes, there is peace after
Yeah.
he's done having his rampage, right? But he's never been released on a full scale like this before.
Yes.
So you don't know what he's going to do. It might be my initial thought would have been okay, if the creature leaves for 27 years and this thing happens in cycles, maybe it's because he doesn't want to eat everybody. Maybe it's because he wants to season the population with fear during the time that he's gone. That way, when he comes back, he's that much more scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Well,
But if you
yeah,
release it
there.
on a world scale, he's not relegated just to eating people in one town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's no reason for him to even go to sleep. And
Yeah.
we see that. We see that because the next part that happens right after this is epic. It's fucking crazy. And this is probably the only time you're gonna see this ever again. Pennywise just unleashed, right? Which is what you
Yeah.
get. Because
Yeah.
he has gone back to sleep in the sewers and we see him in the sewers surrounded by a bunch of body parts and guts sitting in blood up to his nose, right? And he's sleeping. But when they burn that shard in the furnace, he wakes up because now he knows that he's free, right? And that's what we get from here on out. And it's the coolest fucking scene because he realizes, shit, I'm free. I'm no longer stuck in Derry anymore. It's time to go. Now, this is the other problem I had with the series too, is why did he go about it the way that he did? I'm happy he did because it's effective and it's scary and it really works, right? But why stay in Derry? This thing's actual form, one of its actual forms can fly, right? And so it should have been able to leave Derry and go wherever it wanted to go. But instead, it decided to pull a Pied Piper kind of thing
Yeah.
and round up all the kids in the town and take them with him.
Yeah.
And that's a great scene because what happens is you see the streets of Derry, and you have to remember Stephen King's The Fog, right? We love that story. But that fog makes a reappearance here, and it's part of Pennywise's thing. He floods the streets with this fog on like a really large scale. All of
Yeah.
Derry is just covered in this dense fog. And you see the high school where all the kids are, and you see Pennywise's hand, and he's sitting in the principal's desk, and his hand hits the intercom button and speaks in the principal's voice. All of the kids come to the auditorium. We're going to have a safety day. Please come to the auditorium and we're going to talk. So all the kids leave their classrooms and go into the auditorium. And I'm reminded of Carrie here too, which is also a Stephen King book because this is what happened in Carrie. All the kids are stuck inside the auditorium. Pennywise locks the door on the outside and then uses the principal as a puppet. And this is fucking sick. Mike, I love this. I love this fucking scene, dude. I was like a little kid. I was clapping the whole time the scene was going on. The principal is standing up on the stage and he's got this curtain behind him. And he's standing there and his mouth is moving kind of like a ventriloquist dummy on a microphone. And he's talking. And then all of a sudden the curtain goes away and you realize Pennywise has his hand in the back of the principal and is mouthing the words with his hands, right? This is a abnormally large Pennywise too.
Yeah.
Like this is
Cool.
probably the biggest we've seen him. He's like 9, 10 feet tall. and he's got the principal, and then he reaches down into the principal's eyes with his fingers and pulls the top of the principal's head off and throws the body into the audience. Like where all the kids are like if you kids were in this audience when this happened, they're fucking scarred for life now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scarred for life. I absolutely love the scene, and I'm glad they did it. And it looks great too. Once he has the kids' attention, he starts dancing on stage and doing his typical Pennywise thing, and then he deadlights them all. Right. So when he deadlights them, their eyes go blank and they start floating in the air. They're kind of in a suspended animation. Now this gets all the kids, all of them, with the exception of Margie, and there's one
Which
other kid that's not there.
Margie, Lily, and the Amanda. Huh? Those
So all three of them are not there.
three girls. Because Will, the son of the major, he was deadlighted by Pennywise. That was
Yeah.
the first stop Pennywise went before it went to the high school.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's deadlighted all these kids, and he has kind of a horse-drawn carriage that he's in, but there's no horses pulling it. It's just him sitting in front of the carriage blowing a tuba crazily. He's sitting there with a tuba blowing on the tuba, and behind the carriage is this line of floating kids for miles, right? That's the last scene we get before we see what's going on with the military. The military's standing around talking, okay, we've released him. Now what's going to happen? They have the Native American group there with them because they have to correspond with them to figure out what's going to happen. The Native American group says, okay, one of the shards is buried across this lake underneath a tree. And that lake or that stream is on the outside of Derry. He's going to try to go specifically to that spot. So if we can get there and dig up that shard before he gets there, we can stop it.
Wrong.
Huh?
You're wrong. You're totally
I'm wrong? Okay. Tell me
Yeah.
what I'm
What they figured out is that the cage was basically open. No?
Yeah. Now
And
I
she shows
remember.
it on the map where it is open. He says there's one, the shard is destroyed, but the dagger can be used as a new pillow because it's from
Right.
the same material. So if they could retrieve the dagger and if they have the dagger, they would have to come to this spot where this tree is and bury it there. That would widen the cage of Pennywise, of course, but it would be able to reclose the cage. But they have to bury the dagger in the ground before Pennywise reaches this point.
Right.
They figure out where the dagger is because they use a psychic guy, and he figures out where the dagger is that the
Right.
kids have. No? So then they all hail off to find the three girls that are having the dagger because they want to use the dagger to kill Pennywise.
Right.
That was their original plan. No,
Yeah.
so that's why they're after Pennywise. So do you have like the adults, the major, his wife, and the Native American heading towards Pennywise just as the kids? So they're all heading at the same point
Right.
at this because, of course, the kids want to kill Pennywise, and the adults they want to use the remaining shard, no, the
Yeah.
dagger to close the cage so Pennywise can't get out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd forgotten that's how it worked. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because
as you
yeah, I mean,
Huh?
but even it didn't make much sense because by digging out one pillar, they opened the cage,
Yeah.
and this is like digging out another one is just like opening the door even wider.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I don't know why I thought that. Anyway, so the kids and the military are headed to the same spot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pennywise is now at the spot where he's about to cross the lake with all these kids behind him, right? I cannot remember why he gets out of the carriage, but he does get
It-
out of the carriage at some point, and I cannot remember why.
yeah,
Was
it's
it to
because
chase the kid?
the girls managed to catch up with Pennywise after they stole a car, and that
That's
was
right.
a pretty funny scene by the
They
way.
stole a milk
They
truck. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they stole a milk truck. They catch up with Pennywise pretty much up to his wagon where he's driving, and see Will and want to bring Will back down. No,
Right.
and they're screaming, at "Will, come down!" And that is when Pennywise stops. No, and then comes out of the cabin.
Yep.
And Pennywise instantly is like, "Oh yeah, now we're gonna have fun again." No, uh, I'm not entirely. I don't fully remember what Pennywise says, but oh yeah, they hold up the dagger towards him.
Ah,
Then
right,
he
right, right, right.
then he
Yeah,
runs away again. But then he starts playing mind tricks with them by running very fast around them. This is, of course, a scare tactic that
in the
he
fog
wants to
too, because it's really
in the
foggy.
fog as well because he to break them up. What eventually successfully is successful with. Huh?
Yeah,
He manages to separate the girls from each other up until March.
right.
This is another brilliant scene, by the way.
Yes,
Huh? Exactly. This is where pretty much the scene where it is revealed who Marge actually is.
right.
And to the discussion we had earlier, because you see Pennywise actually talking to Marge, and it's like, "It's you. You're the one that blah blah blah." And she
Yeah,
has no idea what he's talking about because she's super terrified by him. And it says, and he holds up a picture of Richie. "It's your son and his friends that in the future are going to cause my death.
and
And
this
if
is
I
also interesting. He says,
yeah
"That are gonna cause my death or my birth." I can't remember
okay
because yeah, because time for Pennywise is the same. He's like,
yeah
"For me, everything's happening at once, so I don't know if it's the future or the past. All I know is I need to stop you because you're the one who gives birth to Richie." And it's brilliant.
yeah
It's
it is
fucking
brilliant.
brilliant. I
How
loved it, and I didn't see it coming at all.
No, me neither. I also this is also something I did not see that coming, that this is, Richie's mom. I didn't
Mm-mm.
see it. However, he goes to attack her with his big teeth or whatever, and he just instantly stops.
Yeah,
He just stops, and you don't know why.
yeah,
No?
yeah.
This is
But
brilliant
he's
because
yeah.
this is where you notice it's the psychic guy, because the
Mhm.
psychic guy actually managed telepathically to enter Pennywise's mind
Right,
and lock him in a, illusion.
right.
Yeah? What What is pretty powerful shit to do this to
Yeah.
Pennywise, but
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying, and I
yeah,
wonder that it could be argued, I think, between fans, and I think it probably has. Would this really be possible? Because this entity's mind is so complex, and what he is so complex
yeah,
that people go crazy just looking at his real form.
yeah, that is what led me to believe that this had to be either the influence of the turtle, no?
Yeah,
Because you would not be able to do that, or this psychic guy is a physical manifestation or a form of the turtle he uses to interact with our reality.
yeah, it could be. It could be.
And it could even be that the psychic guy is not even aware of it. Because in other fictional fantasy stories, there's a situation where gods reincarnate themselves into the mortal world to experience mortal life and wipe out their memories.
Yeah,
So they actually live as a mortal? No. They live out their life, then they die, and once they die, no, then they are returned back to their divine form and remember everything that's happening. That's how in
yes.
other fantasy or fictional stories, gods stay reconnected with mortals.
Which is why, Mike, your
Yeah,
theory here actually could hold water. And I mentioned before about the Dark Tower series, how we actually know who the turtle is
yeah,
and how he's actually a flawed character. This might actually hold water. It might,
yeah,
because, and I just now thought of that. The character of the turtle in the Dark Tower series is a man, and he does not realize who he is until the end of the story. And by the end of the story, when he realizes who he is, he sets time back into the circle again and everything starts over again. So
yeah,
you could very well be right. This guy could be another form of the turtle who's forgotten who he is. So you're
yeah,
absolutely right. You're
yeah,
absolutely right. That could be exactly
yeah.
what this guy is. And it's the only thing that would explain why he could enter Pennywise's mind and have the mental ability to
Strength
withstand
to
all
do
of
that.
this power, right?
Yeah,
Crazy thought. Crazy thought. I'd like to put that one out there to fans and see what they think because I wonder if anybody else has thought of that.
yeah, because you still have that discussion. My theory is either the turtle was influencing him, magnifying his power, or shielding his mind from Pennywise.
Yeah.
Could have been a reason. Or just like I said, he's a physical manifestation of the turtle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Um, Along with this, we also get probably the funniest scene in this series. And this is the scene I told you as I was watching it, I had already gotten to the scene and I said, Mike, when you get to the scene, you're going to laugh because it's fucking hilarious. And what this guy does is he puts Pennywise as an illusion where he wakes up as Bob, right?
Yeah.
So Pennywise wakes up with a hangover as Bob in the carnival. And he's in his room, and all of the other people that work in the carnival are in there with him. And they've woken him up out of a drunken stupor. And they're like, Bob, you really drank a lot last night. Are you okay? And Pennywise is like, I'm not Bob. I'm a god. I'm an eater of worlds. Don't talk to me that way. And when he says that, the guy punches him in the face. Like he punches Pennywise in the face. And Pennywise is like, he's completely taken back by it because no one has ever done anything like this to him.
Yeah.
And he feels like a mortal right now. So he doesn't know what's going on. Pennywise, for once, has no idea what's going on. He's like, why did this guy just hit me in the face? Why did I feel that as if I was a person? And he starts to doubt himself. He doubts if he is a god or if he's anything special because he feels mortal at this point. This is the first time you've ever seen this thing confused. And I love it
Yeah.
because it's hilarious.
It is good. It is great. Yeah. Yeah.
Something gives it away that it's an illusion. And I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Do you
I
remember?
think the psychic does a mistake, and Pennywise looks down at his hand and realizes it's black.
Ah, that's what it
That's
was.
why. No?
Okay.
And that's when Pennywise realizes what was going on and manages to break the illusion.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, this what's absolutely brilliantly about it is what is actually going on because in the real world where Pennywise is still trapped in this illusion, how everything goes on because the adults arrive at the spot where Pennywise is, manage to get the kids with Will, bring them in safety. The other Native American, because now that Pennywise is trapped in the illusion, all the kids are free from the deadlight effect.
Right.
And the Native American, at least tried managed to get the kids into safety a little bit. And this is where also the Major and the Native American are like, okay, here we have the dagger again that the girls were holding. No, we have to get that to that tree. And then they actually want to go up and do that until the general dumbass shoots the other Native American and shoots the other Major in the leg.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
At this point, it's like, okay. I mean, it was obviously that was going to happen, but whatever. However, the Major gives the dagger to his son and the other kid and says, okay, what you guys are going to do now? You have to take this dagger and bury it under that tree.
Yeah.
He tells them, go around the fog where they can't see you and make a circle back to the tree. That
Yeah.
way the guy with the guns can't see you and bury the dagger. You have to do that. That will stop Pennywise.
Right.
Kids instantly follow the command and start doing exactly that. They take Marge, by the way, in front of Pennywise and head off to do that. This is all what's actually happening while Pennywise is trapped into this illusion.
Yeah.
And just like you said, it's brilliantly done. It's the first time that in its existence Pennywise was confused and
Yeah.
did not know what to do until it noticed that the skin color of the guy's hand had a different than his face. And then Pennywise realized who it was and started, fucking with the psychic's mind again, wanting to
Yeah.
reopen this cage that the Native Americans actually managed to close again with a specific kind of tea they gave him.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this is where, of course, the psychic lost control, got afraid, and Pennywise kicked him out of his head and
Yeah.
then broke free again.
Yeah.
No? But during this time, General Dumbass walked up towards Pennywise and was looking at him.
This guy is
This is
such a
like,
fucking moron.
this guy is so fucking stupid. Absolutely. I mean, even if he wanted to fall through to his plan, I mean, if you know what this thing is an evil entity, a god. And this guy knows
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You don't walk up to it and stand in front of it.
To
Because
his credit, though, it almost worked.
It
It
it did
almost worked.
because It did, because Pennywise wakes up and looks at him, and he says, "Hey, you're free to
Yeah.
go and do your thing." Now, Pennywise stops walking till he turns around like, "Don't I know you?"
Yeah. He smells him. He walks past him and goes, and then turns around. And he's like, I never forget a smell. I know you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then he shapeshifts his face into the entity, the general saw him as a kid, and the general's instantly terrified.
Terrified. Yeah.
And 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 then the general starts screaming out and blah 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 or whatever, and Pennywise just bites his head off.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's I mean, this is like, I'm sorry, how stupid can somebody be? For one, by the way, that he wants to let Pennywise out. I mean, dumbest decision anybody has ever
Yeah.
had. I mean,
Yeah.
if he wasn't if he was an evil guy that wanted to destroy the fucking world and be like, everything's a shit, I want the world to end because everybody fucking deserves it.
Yeah.
Okay, insanely evil, but okay, then
Okay.
his
Yeah.
actions would
Then
make
it actually makes sense. Yeah.
then his action would make sense. But this is like,
It's
not only
beyond.
that, he walks up without any weapon up to this thing and looks it into its face.
You're going to die. Yeah.
Yeah, how moronic can somebody be?
He wins the award for the dumbest person in the show for sure, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, he got what was coming to him. That's the other thing. In shows, if you let the villain off easy, then it's kind of a lost cause, right? But
Yeah.
this guy gets it. He gets his face eaten off after he's scared to death. So I'm fine with it. Completely fine with it. So yeah, he's dead, and Pennywise realizes what's going on at this point. He realizes that the dagger is about to be stuck in the ground in the place and complete his cage. So he starts hauling ass. And this is also a funny scene because he thinks he's going to get there before the kids get there too. And he starts skipping. So he's like skipping to the area. He's not running. He's skipping like a kid would skip happily over to where the dagger is about to get buried. But as he's doing that, the major who gets shot in the leg picks up a weapon and blows his head off. All right. So he blows Pennywise's head completely off. Pennywise is laying on the ground. But of course, this is a god, so he regenerates pretty quickly. But he regenerates funny as well. Like he blows his head off, and then kind of a Jack in the Box head pops out of the
Okay.
body and
Yeah.
regenerates itself. But when it does, he shoots the head off again. So he blows his head off twice.
Not until he gets deadlighted at one point by Pennywise.
I thought he
Pennywise
gets deadlighted after the second time,
I
right?
think so. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, he effectively though him doing this is what saved everybody because he did give the kids enough time, right?
Yeah.
So I think he gets his head blown off a second time and is on the ground trying to get back up. And he's almost to where the kids are. At least he's far enough away that he could probably make it there in time. And at that time, you see the ghost of Richie run by him, right? Is
Yeah.
this that part? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, at this point, the kids are there trying to push the dagger into the ground,
Yeah.
but the dagger is somehow resisting them because it wants to get back to the other pieces. And yeah, yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, this part was okay, but however,
Plot
and
armor.
at this part, they're forcefully trying to get, but can't get it in because they just don't have the power. And this is where I'm not sure who. I think the psychic guy sees the Indian shaman again, and then sees Richie.
Yeah.
And Richie comes up running towards the other kid and puts his hand on the dagger, and
First,
it
he
gives him
flipped the Pennywise off
Yeah, he flips
on his
Pennywise.
way. He flips
on-
him off and runs by. I thought that was great.
However, Richie at the end puts his full body weight, or not body weight, onto the dagger and finally pushes it into the ground, so it's sticking in the ground. It has to stick in the ground for the cage to be rocked. And this is funny because Pennywise notices this, turns into his flying bat thing partially, and starts flying towards them. And
Yeah.
you can see right in the moment where they stick the dagger in the ground, Pennywise almost gets to them until the cage is closed again and Pennywise is burned his entire body is burned again, whatever.
Yeah, the
And
physical form is completely burned away. Yeah.
again, his physical form is burned away. And did he parent? Obviously, is probably going to remanifest in the sewers again,
Yeah.
and then go back to sleep.
Yep.
Because yeah,
Yep. So they succeeded. Everything in the town kind of goes back to normal. The family of the major kind of have a discussion that they want to leave and not have anything to do with Derry anymore. But as they're about to leave, the Native American woman who's the head of the tribe comes to him and his wife and says, "Hey, you are now also part of this. You know the story. We need people to kind of defend these shards and the story and keep this from happening again. Would you guys like to stay? You can have my farm." She offers them her farm and
yeah,
everything. Originally, they say no and start to leave. And then the husband and wife have another discussion and they say, "You know what? I feel like we kind of have an obligation to stay here now.
yeah,
And quite honestly, if we stay, maybe we can keep this from happening again." Which is the decision that caused the same character that saves the day in the original It
yeah,
trilogy
yeah. To
to
stay in
to
Derry.
yeah, because he is the black kid that is in the original the remake It and the Tim Curry version is the son of this guy's son. So the
Yeah,
son that
exactly.
stays behind is the grandfather that teaches him how to kill cattle because he's on the farm. Did you catch that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I just
yeah.
think it's great. They did something with every character and made it work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliantly, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is yeah, and this the discussion was also very interesting, because they were not sure where to go anymore because the father got a dishonorable an honorable discharge, and they don't really know what to do. And the mother is an activist, and she's like, "Well, we know we have this evil god entity that wants to destroy the world. I mean, the best good we could do technically is here if we try to
Yeah, it's to stay here. Right.
keep this thing locked up." And
Yeah.
what it just like I say brilliantly done, it's actually this decision from this too that is going to eventually lead to Pennywise entirely being destroyed. I mean,
Right.
not entirely destroyed, but his connection to our reality being
Yeah. If it had not been for their sons hanging around, their grandson would not have called all of the Losers Club back as adults and finished off Pennywise. So this decision is what killed Pennywise. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
Absolutely. It's brilliant. And as someone who's a fan of the original story and everything, this was the best way that you could have done this without breaking any lore, destroying the story, and keeping it interesting and relevant to the original story. They did a great
yeah,
job. Fucking fantastic
exactly.
job.
Yeah, yeah.
Boy, was I fucking wrong. I will admit that. I was wrong as hell because I thought this was gonna suck. But it's better than any I would say so far this is better than anything else that's been put out in this story in digital media. Would you agree to that? I like it better
Yes,
than
I
the
agree
movies.
totally.
Yeah.
I first, and how should I say it? It is the best.
Yeah.
I would even say I do think it's better than the original miniseries.
Yeah. By
No?
far.
Yeah, it's by far way better than that.
Yeah.
I like the remakes. There were things that did not work for me.
Yeah.
I don't have to repeat it again because I've
No.
done it a million times.
Said it a
But
million times, yeah.
so far, this is like when it comes, even though it's not actually an adaptation because nothing in this show actually happened in the books, but this should be a guideline if you want to tell your own story. You want to do your own new thing with an existing beloved IP and not totally fuck it up. This is how you should do it
Yep.
because nothing in this show exists in the books, nor does it exist in Stephen King's lore.
No.
But they wrote it in a way that it does not ignore the lore of the books nor the lore of Stephen King and entirely. No, because this is how you expand
Yes.
the lore of a
Yes.
franchise.
And I
Create,
think go ahead.
create new and fresh things, but in a way that it absolutely fits into the entire context of the overall story.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the thing that gets me about that too is that is done so wrong with so many intellectual properties. And one thing that they did here that goes above and beyond, and I think this is something that they probably did for fans, but it does not feel like fan service to do, is to take the character of Dick Hamlin, who is throughout all of the Stephen King books, and fill in the story of his past. Because throughout none of the Stephen King books do we know what this guy's past looks like. The only thing we know is that in The Shining, he said, I was a cook in the military. That's the only thing he said. And he's
Yes.
in the Dark Tower series books as a character who has this ability as well. He's a much, much older man then, but we don't hear anything about his past. To take him and fit him into the story of it in the way that they did was brilliant.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
But
I
also,
think that is my
also,
favorite part of this series.
also a brilliant thing they did, what a lot of people might not notice, before Dick leaves, he has to talk to Major.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I got a new job as a cook in a hotel.
Which is The Shining.
Huh?
Which is The Shining. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I love it, dude. Like, I wish that, and this is kind of one of those things, it's wishful thinking and it's not going to happen because it's already passed. But if this had come out before the Aliens series, maybe they could have taken some footnotes from this series and actually done that one correctly.
Yes. Yeah.
Because this is not going to get enough props for me. Like, this should be being talked about. If you're going to
Yeah.
extend media, just like you said, stick to the lore, make it interesting, add to it, but don't take away, and do it intelligently. And I
Yeah.
cannot wait for season 2. Unlike
Mhm.
Alien, I think we will probably do season 2 on this podcast because it's probably going to be fucking great.
Yes,
Dude.
absolutely. I mean, I would say maybe with season 2, maybe take our time and not try to do it all in one episode. No?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's maybe I mean, when season 2 comes out, it's probably gonna be in a few years. Yeah, I guess.
I would imagine so.
Um,
It's usually about a year between
yeah,
seasons.
yeah. I think I think we should maybe talk about after the podcast. But I think because we actually have planned maybe doing a shorter format, with TV shows, like we have a shorter mat videos or whatever. Maybe we should, just start off with the next season of It Welcome to Derry.
Yeah.
With our shorter format.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We can just summarize the whole thing and then go through it because this is probably a
Yeah.
longer episode than people are
I
used
mean,
to.
it was, yeah. However, I mean, the thing, yeah, because Alien was kind of funny because
Neither of us wanted to
well,
do it.
of course, I mean, you wanted to do it.
I
I
wanted to
wanted to
because I
stop
wanted to
watching.
rave about how bad it was.
God damn it! This is funny. When it first came out, we weren't even talking about doing an episode on it.
Yeah.
I turned the goddamn show on, yeah, and I turned off the first episode after like 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not watching this. And then you're like, oh, we have to do an episode on the podcast. I'm like, oh,
Well, I think it's fun to be fair and balanced, right? So if we're gonna do movies and shows, like we're obviously horror fans, so it's not that hard to get us to like something if it's
yeah,
done right. And so most of the stuff that we do, we're praising it while we're also shitting on it. Rarely do we shit on something, right? It doesn't happen that often. It has happened, but not often. But if you're
yeah,
going to stand here and praise horror all the time, you have to take the absolute shit show of a horror show and also shit on how bad it is. Otherwise, we're
yeah,
not being very fair and balanced. And that's what I want to do. Like, if it's great, like this is, let's fucking talk about how great it is and get people to go see it because it deserves the viewership.
yeah.
But I also want to stop people in their tracks from supporting things like Alien Earth if we can. You know what I mean?
Me too. Yeah, me too.
So, I mean,
Really,
and if that means we have to sit here and diss on it the whole time, that's fun too. I don't care.
me too. I mean, Alien Earth. I think was. I mean, when it comes to ranting, I think one of the episodes where I was the harshest because it was our only episode where at least I directly addressed the directly
Yeah,
in
you
our
did.
meeting.
You did.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the only time I've done that.
Yeah. We need to do more of that because there are
Yeah.
a shitload of series that are absolute trash, and
Movies,
horror is
movies, series.
gaining grounds. Now that streaming is one of the main ways that companies make money off of intellectual properties, there's gonna be so many more of these.
Yeah.
And if they're bad, we have to say it. Even if we don't do an episode on it, we need to be like, "Hey, and by the way, this is fucking garbage. Stay away from this.
Yeah.
Don't support it," you know? Who was the director of this? Did we say that?
Andy Muschietti, I think.
Okay. I don't know who that guy is, but,
Brilliant
fucking
job,
great
by the
job,
way.
dude. Great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Do more. Please.
Yeah.
Do more. Don't stop.
I think it was I think let me sure. I'm pretty sure it was Andy Muschietti, I think. I'm not sure if he's the director of the entire thing, but he was definitely, I think, maybe the showrunner or something.
I'm gonna look up real quick.
It's developed by Andy Muschietti, Barbara Muschietti, so apparently, I guess, a married couple, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
Jason Fuchs. Dude, Bill Skarsgård is one of the producers.
No shit. Holy fuck, man. Okay.
Yep,
I didn't know that.
yep. Bill Skarsgård is one of the producers of the show. Bill Skarsgård is an executive producer in this movie for the show.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it doesn't show who the individual directors were because usually in shows, not every episode is directed by the same person, by the way.
Well, he
Yeah.
oversaw it. Andy Muschietti oversaw the entire thing and is the main
Yeah.
producer. I'm about to blow your mind though. Do you know what else he was the main producer on?
No.
The Flash.
Great show, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
The
That
only
was one
good
of the few.
one of the only good CW shows.
Yeah, that was one of the few that I actually liked.
It
It
was
was
like
great.
Arrow and Flash were good, the rest was
Yeah.
yeah.
He also did the movie Mama, which I don't think I saw.
Me neither, but it's supposed to be good, I heard. I heard a lot of positive
Guillermo
things.
del Toro also co-produced it, so it's got to be good.
Yeah.
That might have to be one we look into for the podcast. If it's del Toro plus him, it's got to be good.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing we didn't talk about here is the ending credit scene.
That's also brilliant, by the way.
Yeah, and we'll go through this real quick, but what we get is 27 years later, which is the next cycle of Pennywise.
Yeah.
It picks up right at the very beginning of it, chapter 1, right?
Yeah.
And it's a scene that we didn't get to see in the movie, but it happens right before the first scene opens up. And that is Beverly, who is in the mental institution where her mother has hung herself.
Yeah.
Because we know this is Beverly's trauma. Her mother hung herself in the mental institution, and she's forced to live with her father, who's abusive and also an alcoholic because her mother killed herself. We see her in the room where her mother is hung. She's on her knees crying in front of her mother. And from the back of the mental institution, we see Periwinkle as an old woman walking towards her room. And she shows up in Beverly's room while she's grieving over her mother, looks at her with a grin that is obviously Pennywise and not her,
Yeah.
and says, "It's okay, dear. Nobody ever really dies in Derry." And that's the end.
Yeah.
So that woman that you see there that is Periwinkle actually shows up in it chapter 2 when Beverly goes back to her house as an old woman and she sits down and talks to her and has tea with her, and then she turns into Pennywise. So that woman in it chapter 2 was actually Periwinkle, who was the daughter of the original Pennywise, Bob.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Which is fucking great. Fucking great, dude.
It's brilliantly the way they did it. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have actually nothing negative to say about it.
Not a damn thing. There were a few
Yeah.
choices that I didn't completely agree with, but I feel like just like most horror, you can kind of explain those away with enough background. It's fine.
Yeah.
Nothing that was lore breaking, nothing that ruined the mystery or anything like that. And I think that overall is the thing that I can praise the most. Not only is it brilliant storytelling that is original, but they didn't do anything that ruins the mystery of the future movies at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is something that happens. If you go back and you tell a prequel, well, you just ruined the whole last movie we saw by explaining everything away.
Yeah.
Nothing was explained away here. It just lent more credibility to the original story. So, yeah, that's it. You got anything else you want to say about this series?
No, not really. So far, it's just brilliant. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have only praise for the show, and I recommend it to everybody, and absolutely nothing negative I can say about it.
No,
It's
not a damn thing.
it's great. Yeah. Yeah.
So, the next episode that we do is going to be a classic, one that most people, including myself, consider to be a perfect film. And I've been looking forward to doing this one for quite a while. So make sure you catch
And
that episode.
they're probably going to be mostly praising it, but because it's Alien, we're probably going to go off on temporary rants as
I mean, let's face it, if they're sticking around watching this, dude, that's what they're here for. They're waiting for us to go off on some tangent that has absolutely nothing to do with the movie. And I'm glad because I don't want to stick to a script. Sticking to a script is boring as fuck.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you got anything else you want to say?
No, nothing.
Okay.
From it so far, we could continue this for multiple more hours, but we want to keep it short. I think it's long enough as it is, and just I think if we do season 2, when we do season,
Yeah.
I just think maybe it would be better if we would finally use that to launch the shorter format you and me talked about a few times,
Yeah.
where we just really go episode for episode.
Yeah.
And we take our time with that, so we can really get into, let's say, the entire show.
Yeah.
Not like this, where we basically have to sum up an entire 8-episode TV show into like our 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'm fine with that. I think everybody else will be happy with that too. But okay, guys, we will see you for Alien in the next episode. Until then, I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
We'll see you guys later.
See you later. Bye.
The blackest dies. The darkest side. Simply